Holding. Can you hear me now? Olumide, please can you confirm you can hear me pretty well?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
All right.
Very.
So well done, everyone. Thank you so much, Olumide. My village people was after me this morning. Literally, I tried to turn on my laptop and I realized that I left the charger somewhere else, so I couldn't turn on my laptop. I had to get my colleague to come to the house because I was going to work from home today to send me his own MacBook charger, and that's the sad thing about Macs. You can't find the chargers easily. So thank you so much. Apologies for starting slightly a bit later, but hey guys, hope you enjoy some of the videos that were being watched. You guys know the rules here. Now, for the first 5-10 minutes, please turn on your video. I want to know who we are talking to. No ghost allowed at my sessions. No ghost allowed. No monitoring spirits allowed. I like to know who I'm talking to. And then please, you're also supposed to introduce yourself, your name, what you do, and what business challenge or major thing you're working on. Those are two strategic things that we want to know about you before we deep dive. Your name, what you do, and what business challenge you have. I'm going to randomly call 3 people. I like to get into the spirit and the zone of my engagement. And to get into the spirit and zone of the engagement, I like to take real-time questions, right? Real-time questions. This comes from my hip-hop days when we used to do something called the freestyle, right? If you're a good MC back then, you know that you must know how to freestyle pretty well. So we like to just freestyle, just all the top of the head, tell us the business challenge. Let's see whether God really sent us to do this work, whether we can solve your problem in real time, unprepared, unrehearsed. So I'm going to take only 3 because of time already. This is going to start from 12:30, from 10:30 to 12:30. We extended it by 30 minutes just to make up for the 30 minutes back and forth. I'm going to take only 3 questions. Anybody that knows Xavier knows that we're not cheap for consulting. If we're telling you we're going to do a free 5 minutes consulting to help your business challenge, you had better take advantage of it because that's the only time you get it for free. So let me quickly go to the chat session when I'm looking for people to raise up their hands. Yes, let me see. Okay, Frejene, Madam Frejene, how are you doing today? She's into business, hospitality, and catering.
I'm fine. Good morning.
You are in a unique place. You're between 2 cohorts. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
You serve a living God. Are you a chosen? Do you go to the Lord's chosen?
Where? No, I said yes.
Yes, you are. So you get a chance to have a double dose, literally, right, of the sessions, right? So well done. Nice to have you here. Let me quickly go on through other people. Let me see what the questions are. If anybody has any questions, just real quick. You guys will pardon me. I'm doing Boro Post today. I'm using someone else's laptop since my laptop is not coming on. So I'm trying to work around how it works. So yes, I think that's what's important to state. Let me see other questions. So how do you scroll up? Okay, I can see that. I can see that. Tolu, e-commerce, scaling, Lydia, Frediane, hospitality. Okay. All right. I think that's it. So well done. Let me start with a proper introduction of myself. Right. My name is Izu, like you know. Izu is a business and management consultant. Please give me a second. Can you turn off this one of the lights? I think the last one. Just keep talking about it. Put it back. Back. Put it back. Let's try and turn on this one. There's a light at the back. There's put it back on. Now go to the last one. Too much lighter. All right. So let me do an intro. My name is Izu. Izu is the founder and business strategist, lead strategist for Xavier. Xavier is a management consulting firm. That's my natural home. No, I think that's okay like this. It's natural home, right, for Xavier. We have other companies, and as we start to prepare for a holdco, Xavier is now a Xavier group. We have other businesses in the Xavier group that is not just consulting. We have equity shares in a lot of other businesses, including a solar company, an online procurement, an e-commerce platform, and also our restaurants. We have a restaurant that we started 3 years ago with 11 outlets. So when I talk about scaling, I'm very passionate about it, right? My central ideology of life is go hard or go home. Too many average people, and average is the reason why people are not scaling. Good is good enough, but good is the enemy of great. We don't have a lot of great companies because we have just good enough companies. So my life ambition is to raise bigger organizations that can scale, that can build transgenerational wealth, and more importantly, that can have multiple branches. I have a central ideology in life around business that if you're going to scale your business, there are 3 assumptions you must make. One, you must assume that what you're building it for the next generation, assuming that your children or anybody who is not even your children, maybe your child might not be interested in it, but make sure that what you're building is going to be transferred to somebody else when you're no longer here. So there's no such thing as a lifetime CEO. That's the first assumption. Assume you're going to sell it to another person. Second assumption. Assuming at some point you're going to go public and sell shares, IPO, right? To talk about that today. And third assumption you must make is that you must assume that you're going to have multiple branches. That's the ultimate mindset you need to be able to scale your business. Let me say that again. To scale your business and to scale and be multinational, there are 3 assumptions you must make every morning you wake up. Like, hey, this small business I'm building is going to be big enough. I'm going to make way for another CEO. So you don't want to keep a struggle. You don't want to give a struggling business to another CEO. So you must get it right. Second thing is I'm going to have multiple branches. I told you started an outlet. We started a food brand. I told you guys my dog is back now. What do we do? You guys give me a second. Let me deal with my dog. Just give me a second. Up and down. Hold on. Do you guys give me a second? Just give me.
All right, while we wait for him, and maybe
Sorry.
I just check.
The consequences of working from home is my dog service stand is backing up and down. I'm really sorry about that. Please, I have dog for sale in case anybody wants to buy a dog. I don't know the value of this dog in the house. I say that the dog is my wife's next of kin. My wife does not play with that dog. I'm hoping that by the time she travels, by the time she comes back, we would have given out the dog for lease. In case you want a dog. She doesn't eat too much. Doesn't eat too much. All right. So what do you say?
So what's the breed?
What's the breed? Is a Lhasa. Those ones that don't have any value. They are not security dog. They cannot bite armor, but they can. If thief comes, they'll be licking the teeth and playing with the teeth. So I don't know what the value of the dog is.
Companionship.
What would you tell madam when she comes back?
I'll just show her the money. I'll just show her the money.
have emotional intelligence, so might be an intelligence officer.
Please, people should not report me. Those are my kids and my wife's favorite part of the house. All right. So remember what I was saying, right? Back to the fundamentals. I'd like to talk to people who want to scale, go hard or go home. So my name is Izu, management consultant, spent 16 years building businesses, over 600 restructured business within our belt, over 4 times founder. I'm currently doing 2 parallel PhDs, 2 different PhDs. I hold a master's degree, 3 master's degree, 2 MBAs and an MSc. My first degree is mathematics. So you guys will pardon me. You guys can see I came with a board. I have a board in my house and I have a board in my office. I like thinking diagrams and structures and mind maps. So you guys are going to pardon me, right? So that's about it. So we're going to deep dive. David, your hand is up. I believe your hand should be pinging you by now. So please raise your hands up and raise your hands down and please unmute your mic and tell us what business challenge or something that happened throughout this week. But please, before that happens, I'd like to tell you guys something about why you're here. You're not supposed to be here today. It's that proco in you that brought you here. You want to get exposed to how the next quarter and next half will be, right? Why don't you just wait it out? But I like the fact that you're thinking that way. Why I said you're not supposed to be here is that this is originally for a cohort and a community. So we have a CEO's executive community, right? It's an executive coaching program for 3 months for CEOs, top level CEOs, right? I will meet up every Thursday between 10 to 12. So you see why I said you're not supposed to be here. It's a paid CEO session. It's $1,000. But the reason why you're here today is because they agreed to have you here as an open house. So every now and then we open up the house to show off what we'll be learning, right? A good thing is that it happens every quarter. So we're starting a new cohort, which is a new quarter, which is Q3, otherwise called H1, Q3, right? Half of the year, second half of the year, third quarter of the year, right? So the Inner Circle is an executive coaching program for CEOs. Now, the good thing is it comes with a complimentary +1. So if you join the Inner Circle, we'll give you a complimentary +1. You can bring anybody else +1 at no costs. So think of it as a buy one, get one free. Now, why this is important? In my years of building my own business and building that of others, I've seen one of the biggest frustrations CEOs have. the gap between the mind power of the CEO and everybody else in the team. Like I always say, if you're the smartest guy in your team, you need to change your team. And most people are the smartest guys in their team. You're the one that is traveling up and down. You're the one going for a retreat. You're the one going to Kenya, going to Abu Dhabi, going to Dubai, going to Harvard, short courses. And when you come back home with your expanded mind, you still have to work with those 2x2 minds and your company. Like I always say, you can't build a 4x4 organization with 2x2 minds. So they will frustrate you. So as you're scaling your mind, carry your general manager so his mind is also being expanded. So we're not telling you to pay for your general manager. We're saying if you pay for yourself, then your general manager would have a +1. Or maybe your +1 can be your spouse. One thing that destroys a marriage in Nigeria is what you call power distance and mind power distance. Once one person between couples is significantly smarter or richer, that business is in trouble. That marriage is in trouble, right? That marriage is in trouble because the other person is just a leech to the other person, the parasite to the other person. So carry your spouse along as you're scaling, as you're growing. In the inner circle, we share very intimate case studies and we share very intimate things I can't say public. But if you guys remember last week, I was telling you guys something about a client I had who was a former governor's wife, who was, as at the time she was having a discussion with me, she was a governor's wife. And she told me confidence that I don't like to go to governor's wife meeting. They have this governor's forum thing that they do, governor's wife forum. She says, why? She says, look, I feel brain dead every time I go there. I'm like, why do you feel brain dead? Because I know the lady, she's a high flyer before she even got married to the governor. And she schooled abroad, straight A student. And she said, look, when she goes there, she feels brain dead because most of the governor's wives are not carrying their weight. It's like they're just there for sort of like what you call you guys get my point, right? And that she realized a trend that the ones that are been contributing a lot more in that engagement. Please, can you guys turn off your mic? I don't know who's talking. Please, can you turn off your mic? That she noticed that the ones that are even contributing more and adding value to their husband and to their state are the ones that are second wife. So and I said, what do you mean by the ones that are second wife? And I said, well, a lot of governors have more than one wife, especially if you're from the north, right? That most first ladies are not first wives, right? Including herself. Then I'm like, wait a second. And when she said this thing was about 10 when Buhari was president, I checked Buhari's wife was second wife. The first lady was second wife. I don't know if you know that Oluremi Tinubu is second wife. Like, it just hit me that wait a second. What exactly is going on here? The reason for that, anybody want to tell me the reason for that? Can anybody try? Let's try and see. I'm talking about the reason why you should not leave one person behind. Can anybody try? Why do you think that trend and pattern is very, very conspicuous? Anybody want to try?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the second wife the first wife is the wife of the youth, and it would appear they grew apart. And the second wife appears to be the one that the husband married when he had arrived or when he had grown apart from the first wife.
I would not think that would be just the reason why. And this happened even with Obasanjo. I don't know if you guys know that Stella Obasanjo was also second wife. Now, let me tell you guys what I think, and this is my opinion. I think that is the fact that the second wife comes better prepared and better suited for where the man is going to, because the second wife is better packaged. My point here is, at least not a gender convention. There are men in the house. When your wife is growing, allow them grow and also try to catch up. Don't sit back and give a gap intellectually. Right, one of the most powerful and most inspiring Black couples I've seen is Obama and Michelle. I've shared this thing with you guys before. I don't know if you know that Michelle Obama is the most qualified first lady to ever live in the White House. Matter the most qualified. Forbes described her as the most qualified person to ever sleep in the White House. Now, not the most qualified first lady, not the most qualified woman, the most qualified person. She has 3 Ivy League degrees. She's well taught. As a matter of fact, when she met Obama, do you guys know how Michelle Obama and Obama met? Obama was introduced to Michelle, right? To be Michelle's mentor. No, for Michelle to be his mentor. So Michelle was Obama's mentor. That's how far ahead she was. As you are growing, be carrying your team along. That's my conversation here. So the inner circle is a cohort-based 3 months. Strategy structures every single week for three months straight. Every week we have different things we talk about, different absolute things we talk about. From finance to structure, from structure to corporate governance, from corporate governance to mastering yourself and finding your ikigai, to power play and politics and boardroom politics, to understanding strategy, to understanding stuff like human capital and human resource development. right? We have a series at the last month called the Mastering Your 5 Moves, mastering yourself, mastering others, mastering power play, mastering a team, and then mastering how to scale. So if you want to be part of it, please drop your contact, right? And my colleagues will reach out to you. Hopefully, if you stay long enough, I'm going to do a fastest finger for the top first 5 people to get a discount. Now, it's $1,000 for it. We send you on errands. It's very intensive. We send you on errands every week. We give you assignments. The assignment is for you to implement whatever we have taught you in your team. In the last 3 months, we force people to create core values, change the core values of the company, institute a system where if people don't know the core value, let them query them and suspend them. In that 3 months, we told them to create corporate governance, set up a board. In those 3 months, we told them to all get mentors on different parts of their life, their will of life, their spirituality, their family, their health, and more importantly, their business. Have mentors for different parts of your life. You cannot only have one spiritual mentor and you call him your spiritual father. How about your business father? Do you have anybody that is doing 10 times what you're making in sales, right? Do you have anybody that's doing 10 times what you're making in sales, right? So that if you get stuck, you can go and meet the guy. If you have 10 times problem, somebody said to me that, oh, he had a client that something happened with the client. EFC carried the guy. He went to tell his boss. His boss said EFC carried you. That was not a problem now. Once you start hitting 10 billion naira, EFC, you must be friends with EFC. Call, let me introduce somebody that will put you on your board. If EFC want to carry you, you go there and tell them that you represent the chairman in the company. Let them go and carry the chairman. I said, who is the chairman? The chairman happened to be an IG of police. So imagine if EFC want to carry you and the father that the person go and carry is the former IG of police. Let them go and deal with the IG of police. And if they get mind, right? That is what we call fortress. And in the team, what do we call this? We call this, what inner circle guys from last cohort. Is anybody from last cohort here? What did I call the difference between, what did I call a moat? Do you guys remember? Difference between a competitive advantage and a moat. Anybody remember what difference between a competitive advantage and a moat?
Moat protects.
Okay, Benny, do you remember? Yes, go ahead and yes. What was the difference between a competitive advantage and a moat? When I said everybody must have an assignment to create a moat and a competitive advantage, what's the difference?
Moat is like trying to like keep all your clients from leaving, like building a block around them, such that when they buy things from you, they continue to buy. It will be difficult for them to leave.
Yes. I like how you put it. If it was on the street, we call it moat is like the business version of Kayamata. You know Kayamata? Kayamata is what you used to hold somebody in case the person wants to leave. Rabbi? So business should have Kayamata, something that you used to hold your customers even if they want to leave. Let me give you guys an example. When we engage our clients in consulting in Xavier, we carry we create JDs, KPIs, SOPs. We convert their SOPs to multimedia and we host it on something called the Onboard X on Xavier. That means all of our clients, their SOPs are on our platform. Every month, their clients, their staff are required to re-onboard to understand the core values, their SOPs, their KPIs on that platform. But here's the catch. What if you decide to leave us as clients? Well, it's our platform, right? It's the same reason why, what if you decide to leave iPhone today? I use an iPhone, right? I use a Mac, right? I use an iWatch, right? All my life is everything on my life is iTunes, iWatch, iMac, iPhone. Now, if I decide to leave any of those today, I will lose all my photos. All my photos are on my iCloud. You see, iCloud, right? All my messages on my iPhone. All my life is literally tied. That's called a moat. It's called a fortress, a wall that stops people from entering. All great business must do two things. You must create low barrier for customers to enter. Low barrier for customers to enter. The more barrier you create by maybe too much form, too much stories, too much questions, too much transaction fatigue, then you don't know what you're doing in business. You must create low barrier to enter and then create high barrier to exit. Let me say that again. All great business will create low barrier to enter and high barrier to exit. Why am I talking about this? This was an assignment we gave the inner circle guys. All of you create three competitive advantage. That is low barrier for people to enter and high moat. High moat is high barrier for people to exit, right? Even if they want to leave, they will not leave. So the inner circle is intensive. It's every week for 12 weeks straight. It's $1,000. And more importantly, there are 3 pillars. The pillars are strategy sessions every week to follow through. Second one is accountability. If you don't do what we ask you to do, we can chase you out of the inner circle. If you don't do what you need to do, you pay us a fine. I remember when I was writing my first book, how I wrote my first book was, I told my wife that, look, I want to write a book, right? She wasn't my wife then. We were dating then. She was my babe, my girlfriend. And I told her then, I said, look, I want to write a book. I will write a chapter every week. Every week I don't write a chapter, I'll give you $100. And brothers in the house, when you promise a babe money in Nigeria, what does that mean? she would make sure she follows through on you bumper to bumper. So every week I fail to write a chapter, I knew I owe $100. Now, will I want to lose $100? No. So I wrote the book, and in less than 3 months, I had my book published. So sometimes, if you're ready to get things done, you must be ready for penalties and consequences. So there are 3 pillars. First pillar is the pillar of the strategy session that happens every week. Second pillar, and the reason why you're here is because they are kind enough to open up today's week session for you, where we're just doing a general recap, and there's a theme for today. Second one is accountability, and then the third one is network. A lot of us have started to do business within ourselves, right? A lot of us have been doing business within ourselves, right? A lot of people are doing business within ourselves, investing in another business. Because me, I strongly think that the difference between you now and the next 10 years, people you meet and the things that you know, right? When you're praying for God for blessings and grace, if God decides to bless you and answer your prayer, the only 2 things He will do for you: give you insight and He will give you people. So I hope that you understand what that is. Does anybody have any questions at this point before we deep dive and start with the people who their hands are up with their questions?
We'll be back. Okay, I think it's back.
Those, right? After that is 50, the 50% discount is out. Hopefully, as spirit lead, there's the need for another discount. Of course, not 50%. I'm able to do that, but it can't be anything below that, right? And it's only for 3 people here, and I think that's important. All right, Madam Oga David, you can raise your hand. You can unmute your mic and tell us what you've been up to in the last 1 week, or a major strategic challenge you're having that we can solve together. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and good morning, Mr. Izu. I think I'm one of those prodigal inner circle members. First of all, I joined midway into the program, and then I've been like Nigerian NEPA. Now you see me, now you don't. But don't worry, sir. I will come and I will pay all my sins. So this is, I think, I have a strategic challenge I'm having that I want to just share, and I think this is just the best place to talk about it. And let me just give the context. That's why I wanted to speak rather than type. I sit at the intersection of 3 businesses. So technically, I run 3 businesses. One is a school, like brick and mortar school, nursery, primary, secondary school, which I run with my wife in the city where we live. I don't live in Lagos. I live in Uyo, in Akwa Ibom State. So the school is doing fine. I mean, that has structure. My wife is sitting on the front of that and all of that. I run an edtech company. It's a startup school for children. So we write textbooks, we run stuff like that. That's actually what brought us to the inner circle originally, trying to get the best product market fit and all of that. But this is where my question is today. There's a third business that I also sit on. Meanwhile, this is the first business I actually started. My original background is in software engineering. So I started as a tech guy. So this used to be a tech company. We used to build software for people. But over time, it has evolved. And right now, I think that the best value that we bring in that business is strategy. So we're more of a strategy company.
I don't know if it's my network, but I can't hear you again. Do you want to turn off your video?
Okay.
And let me see whether
is it me or is it you? Can others hear me? Am I breaking? Can anybody confirm I'm breaking?
I don't know. Can you guys hear
No,
me?
you're not breaking.
Guys,
Use your data.
We can hear
Guys,
you.
we can send you 2K data. We can send you
Okay, so
2K
that means it's
data.
my
Then you
network.
play the
Then.
bandwidth.
We can
Go ahead,
change
go
you
ahead.
to Elon Musk Starlink.
So it's Mr. Izu. Mr. Izu, you are the one. But okay, so maybe I should go backward again so you can hear me properly. I said I sit on 3 businesses. One is a school, brick and mortar school, nursery, primary, secondary school. That's doing okay. My wife is sitting in front of that. There's a structure for that. One is an edtech company, a startup school for children, which is actually what brought us to the inner circle. So it's we do tech and entrepreneurship for kids, and we have a product and all of that. But the third business is where I'm having challenge today. It's the first business I started. It started out as a software company because my background is in tech. But as we evolve, this business has gone beyond just software. And I think that the biggest value we bring to our clients is strategy and thinking. So basically, we're now like a problem-solving company. It just happens that after we bring strategy and solve your problems, then we can now use tech to implement whatever we solve, which is where the major strategy we bring. However, this is where I'm confused, Mr. Izu. That particular thought business rides significantly on my personal brand and my personal experience. So I have worked across different sectors. All my degrees are in different fields, and I have worked in different places. So somehow I bring this plethora of experiences that allow me see people's problems uniquely. And you can explain the problem, and I can interpret it, give it a structure, and we can solve it, sort of. But in a sense, like you just talked about, the people who work with me, fantastic guys, by the way, but they don't have the experience I have and the exposure I have. So it's like that business still depends on me for client base, for execution. And when people meet me and my personal brand gives them an impression, they have an expectation of the business. So even when I speak with you and I convince you, to now get a team to execute at the level of convincing or excellence I've given you, I'm having a problem there and I'm confused. I don't know if this is something I should shut down, if it's something I should put on the side and focus on the education businesses. I know that there are people who, there are problems, people have problems that we can solve, that I can solve. But that particular business is riding mostly on my personal brand. What do I do at this stage to either institutionalize it without it? I mean, that's not the only thing I did. If that was the only thing I did, it would be easy. But the fact that I'm involved in many other things, I'm now in a bit of a fix. What do I do? Do I invest in the people who work with me to be able to do what I do? Is there a way I can still remain the face of the business and drive in traffic? And how do I maintain excellence at that level when I am what I will call a fractional CEO? Technically, I'm a fractional CEO. I don't have all the time to sit on the business because I do a couple of other things. That's a strategic issue I'm having now to manage all of the other three. One is trying to get product market fit, one is in consulting, one is in education. But the particular problem I have is the third one. What do you think? I mean, if you're in my shoes, what will you do with this third business? People need you, you can solve their problems, but you don't have a structure that can deliver the solutions that you think of at the level that you think of. How will you advise me to best manage this? Like Mr. Isu has frozen.
It's still on the call, but I think might be having a little bit of this network
They
challenge.
offered to give him Starlink now.
My village people are really working today. Network is poor. Can you guys hear me? Please confirm you can hear me.
Now we can hear you.
Okay. I heard you to a large extent. If you guys can hear me pretty well, please just put a thumbs up so I can just quickly deep dive into your question, or into your challenge. Right. So I don't know how old your business is, but business go through life cycles, 4 life cycles: birth, growth, maturity, and decline. 4 cycles. Every business go through 4 cycles. I would like to think that your business is a startup. Now, at the birth stage of a business, it goes through product metamorphosis. Product metamorphosis means that it creates new products. So most times what you started with is not what you're going to end with. So you're a software company, but looks like you're pivoting without knowing into a consulting firm, right? A management consulting firm, because people are now respecting your advisory, right?
Yes,
now,
sir.
welcome to our world, consulting. We all have that challenge where we call it the key man risk. Key man risk, even Xavier, we do have it, but not at the degree as most people, where people come because of Izu, but would they be able to stay even if Izu is not consulting? So let me give you a fun fact. I have to raise your hands up and tell me whether in the last 2 months, the way Xavier runs, all of our clients, we have meetings with them every week. That means in the last 2 months, we've had at least 8 meetings. Ask any of our clients here if I've been in any of their 8 meetings. No, I haven't. Right? So I've been able to crack the code that you are struggling with. You see why I say mentorship and executive coaching is important. 4 years ago, I would be in every single meeting, meaning that I've built the type of structure and the type of manpower for my team that they don't notice even if I'm not there. They don't even care whether I'm there or not. The problem is not to get Izu there. The problem is to solve your problem. The problem to be solved is not Izu. The problem to be solved is your business problem, right? So you need to do 3 things to get your place at a place where you don't have that key man risk. Oga Ogushola, is this making sense to you? Am I communicating? Right? You're in the teething stage.
Very
People
well.
come because of you, but if they stay because of you, then it's a structure problem. After all, when you go to a bank, you like Tony Lumelu so well, you open a UBA account. When you go to UBA to collect money or to go and do transaction, do you expect to see Tony Lumelu there? You expect Tony to be on solving your business problem in UBA. So you need to crack that code. Now, how do you crack that code? One is sit down ask yourself, what makes David? What are the key things that make you David? What I'm saying is create an avatar for yourself. What does the David in his prime, what does it look like? So I sat down and asked myself about Izu. First thing first, Izu has energy. You guys can hear from the tone of my voice. You guys can hear from the way my voice sounds. I'm a high energy guy. I'm octane, right? Right? So I have to have people that have energy. 2, I'm an entrepreneur by birth. 3, I value excellence like the back of my hand. So this created what we call core values, right? This created core values. Only me, Gigi, are you on this call? Is any of my team members on
Yes,
this
sir.
call? Gigi, are you on this call?
Yes, sir.
Gigi,
Yeah, I'm on the call.
what are the core values of the company you work for in Xavier?
Excellence, growth, speed, and energy.
Okay, your break is I'm not sure if I heard you. You got to 4, right? You guys see what just happened now? The 4 things that describe me is the core value of the company. So I'm not going to hire anybody that doesn't have this core value. Excellence, energy, right? Excellence, energy, speed, right? And growth. So you must define those things. Then now ask yourself, where will you find them? So when I thought of the word excellence, I started to ask, where will I find excellent people? So I hire mostly engineers because engineers understand the higher level of excellence, intellectuality. The precision of engineering is second to none. Second thing is, most of the people on my team made the first class. The Olumide here that you guys can see here, Olumide read engineering and has a master's degree in engineering, but he's not working in an engineering company, working at Xavier. Almost everybody on my team made the first class and the engineers, well, apart from me, right? But at the end of the day, you must find people that look like you so you can duplicate yourself. Remember when I said that to scale, there are 3 things you must have. Remember I said you must have multiple branches? The name for that thing in management is actually called duplicity. Hope it makes sense. You must define and implement duplicity. You have not been to duplicate yourself. That's the problem. So, sir, when you start to duplicate yourself, let's talk. I'll be willing to go offline with you so that other people can take I can take other questions. There are other things you must do, but first you must create your avatar. You must convert the avatar to a core value. You must keep only people that have that same thing as you. Right? If passion is one of your core values, don't hire anybody that's not passionate. I don't know if that sort of makes sense to you guys. I hire very young.
I got you very well.
Because I started my business when I was 21. So I'm looking for somebody that sounds like me when I was 21, 22, 23. When we don't understand no for an answer. Right? At my 20s, my idea of life was if you knock at the door does not open, you knock again, it does not open, scatter the door, just break the door and scatter and enter. Right? That's how we got ourselves into this place, right? And that's one of my structural ideology. So if anybody comes to an interview and start to sound like impossibility is something that they grew up with, I will let you go. Sometimes I ask silly questions like, so can you tell me what family you grew up with? Where did you grow up? How does your I want to know how your parents even think, because your parenting shows up how you are. I hope that makes sense. If you don't crack that code, you're going to end up as a one-man self-employed consultant. Today, I have colleagues I've not seen. I have staff I've not seen. I have staff in cities that collect salary. I only see them on our payroll. I saw one of my staff for the first time just for the second time, because I saw him first in Enugu when we set up a LPG plant in Enugu, hired him in Enugu. He's been there. We're setting up a restaurant in Port Harcourt. I flew to Port Harcourt. I told him to come from Enugu to Port Harcourt. That was my second time of seeing him. I don't need to see you in the office. I don't need to look. I'm working from home. Let's make that make sense, right? I don't need to go to the office. Create a system, because the ultimate goal of life is not money. Let's not be chasing money and forget what the ultimate goal of life is. The ultimate goal of life is actually freedom. But the only thing that can guarantee freedom in your life is structure your business. Let me say that again. The more structure in your business, the more freedom in your life. If you don't have structure, you have no business with freedom. You want to have 3 types of freedom. In that circle, guys, what are the 3 freedoms that we talked about?
Financial freedom, time freedom. I've avoided the third one.
They try. Financial freedom. See, Oga Ben, you don't think because it's open house, I cannot give you query. We can still give you sanction. We can still pay $10,000.
Financial freedom.
Location freedom.
Location
freedom.
Right? What I'm doing now is location freedom. I can work wherever I want to work, right? I can work wherever I want to work, right? Time freedom is do things at your own time, right? Not because you need to do it, not because you have to do it, but not because you have to do it, but because you want to do it. It's a high level of place where you get to, and of course, financial freedom. I remember for you to get financial freedom, there are 5 steps you must climb. Does anybody remember the 5 steps? What are the 5 steps? Does anybody remember the 5 steps? 5 steps to financial freedom. Lowest one, financial crisis. Second one,
Financial stability.
financial instability. Yes. Third one,
Financial stability.
fourth one,
Financial
Financial
dependence.
independence.
independence, and then financial freedom.
Financial
I like
Financial
you guys are
freedom.
following. In that circle, guys, I like how you guys are showing up for the rest of the people. The ultimate goal of life is to get to the highest level in the shortest possible time. So, a fun fact, right? I asked ChatGPT yesterday. I was talking to a client of mine, also an inner circle member. We're just gisting, and the guy said that he's going to retire at a particular age. So I asked him, why do you have to retire at a particular age? Why are you putting your retirement by time? Right? Why do you want to retire at 65? Why are you not saying you're going to retire at a particular number in amount? He said, well, I've not thought about it before. I said, well, think about it now. Nobody says you must retire at 65. First of all, I don't believe in retirement. I believe in transition. Move from something else to something else. If I retire at 55, know that I'm probably going to spend more time in my NGO, right? And empower more people or spend time on something else, because retirement is death, in my own opinion. So I said, why don't you look at it this way? Don't say I'm going to retire at 55. Say I'm going to retire when I reach a particular amount of money. The guy said, well, what's that? I said, okay, ask yourself, how much do you need to spend in a month to be comfortable in Nigeria? If you've paid your children's school fees, paid everything, how much do you need to spend in a month? I said, put a magic number. I said, what? I said, okay, just assume you want to spend 10 million every month. So ask yourself, how much do you need to make to spend 10 million naira every month for the next 40 years, assuming you're 40 years old? Do you guys get my math? So I quickly go to ChatGPT and Claude and I put out the math and I said, look, if I'm 40 and I want to be spending 10 million naira every month for the next 40 years till I'm 80, which is actually the average age which people will die. Actually, average age in Nigeria die by life expectancy according to macroeconomics, 5.5 years. But let's assume God gives you grace to live at 80. My dad's 86, right? I now said, how long did it take? Then when I realized the magic number was $2.5 million. That's about $3 million. That's about almost 4 billion naira. So that means if I work out and make 4 billion naira and keep it somewhere, not liabilities. I'm not talking about buying house, buying car. I'm not talking about paying children's school fees. All of that is sorted out. Let me assume Leadway. I have a life assurance for Leadway for all my children. Wherever if they want to school in Harvard, Leadway will pay them because I already have a life assurance. I already have a house of my own. I can say I want to retire at 4 billion naira and go to sleep and chase things. I chase whatever I want to chase in life, travel around the world, and make sure I don't spend more than 10 million every month. What I'm saying here is that, in my own definition, might be what financial freedom is. But for me to get financial freedom, I must climb that level. Hope that makes sense to us, right? So back to you, Oga David Ogushola. If you must reach that financial freedom, you must first create structure. Else you burn out. And then even the people that love you start to hate you. Right? Let me tell you the truth about life. When you don't build structure and you try to scale, people that love you, your customers will hate you because they will not get the value that they need and they'll start to curse you out. Does that make sense? All right, let's go to the next person quickly. Lawal, Oga Lawal. Guys, hope you're getting value. You're getting value here.
Thank you.
You still have a chance to share this with other people. I think we have about another hour, and let me hope that I can deep dive into that 1 hour in detail. Remember, today we're talking about Outlook 2026 second half, right? I'm going to go to that. Don't worry, calm down. Be coming down. Lawal, Abdullah, over to you. What is your biggest challenge? But please, unlike David, don't speak too much grammar. Just tell us quickly so we can deep dive into today's session. Are we good, sir?
All right. Good morning, sir. My name is Abdullah Lawal. So I'm strictly into e-commerce. So, and then we sell kitchen and like home-based products. So our major challenge is trying to scale our like products. Okay. So earlier this year, we used to like sell just a product, but then when I was speaking to one of my mentors, he said,
please, you might speak up a bit.
Okay. I said, okay, the major challenge is trying to scale our company, because most of the times when our company is directly dependent on marketing, we have to spend more money, like money to get customers into our funnel. And most of the times, I believe that, okay, if you spend more money, you get more customers into the business. But most of the months that I try to say I want to scale the business by increasing the the marketing cost, most of the times eventually it crashes. It crashes that, okay, the previous month that we did not even try to scale, that we're still maintaining our standard, will now be better than the month that we increased our marketing budget. So, and this has not, it has happened no more than once. It has happened consistently. I can say even like out of the last 6 months, we used at least 3 months. So let's say this month now is stable, then I'll feel like, okay, I think we know what we're doing now. We can scale the next month, then the next month will come crashing down again.
Now, just pause. I get you. Let's try and solve it. So let me use an ideology for this. Have you seen somebody that's trying to solve a problem by throwing more money in the problem, right?
No.
People do that, right? We call it spoiled brat syndrome, right? Spoiled brat syndrome, where you think that you solve problem by throwing more money at it. For example, your child does not know book, right? Because your child does not know book, you now think that if you move your child to a more expensive school, your child will automatically know book, right? That's what's fueling Green Spring and Corona and all these highly priced schools, right? While that can be right, that's not always right, right? Most times you don't solve a problem by throwing more money at it. So you have a marketing and sales problem. You think you're going to throw more money in it. Guys, in our circle, guys, you guys remember we talked about mastering how to solve problems, reasoning. Is there any cohort 5 member here? We'll talk about second mastery problem solving, or how to reason. You guys remember y equals to f of x? And we talked about the first principle. You guys remember? And I said that sometimes the problem is not the problem. What you call problem is a symptom, right? If I'm shaking right now, I'm having catarrh, I'm having cough, right? You say I have fever, but what if fever is not my problem? What if fever is a symptom of a bigger problem? Maybe I have malaria. You know, the symptom of malaria is fever. Does that make sense? Right?
Yes.
Right. So maybe you don't even have a sales problem. You think you have a sales problem. So you're throwing more money at a sales problem. Maybe you have a people problem. So your people can only take 10 orders. Each person can only take 10 orders in a day. And you put in, say, 5 million naira to get 10 orders in a day across 10 people, right? Now, $5 million naira a month gives you 10 orders in a day across 10 people. So that's 100 orders. Pay attention to my math. Sorry, I've warned you guys, I can be mathematical. Now, remember, 5 million naira gives you 10 orders in a day for one person times 10. In other words, 5 million naira gives you 100 orders in a day, right? If you do 5 million order, 100 orders in a day, and each order is what, say, 50,000 naira, you have blow, right? You have blow. I don't need to look at your P&L to know that you'll be profitable. But here is the problem. Because you think 5 million gives you 10 orders, you now think that 10 million will give you 20 orders. You see the problem? That's your maths. And that maths is wrong. First of all, I think that even if double sales give you double order, double sales budget gives you double order. If double sales budget gives you double order, you're not scaling, because there's no economy on scale on that. If 2 gives you 4 in scaling, right? 4. If 2 gives you 4, right, in scaling, right? 4 should not give you 8. Do you get it? It's not supposed to be incremental. It's supposed to be exponential. If Xavier is doing, let me say, 100 million a month, and we have 5 staff, if 10 staff will make us get 200 million, I'm not scaling. Do you guys understand it? You guys get my math? That's not scaling. That's increment. That is doubling your stress. So that's your challenge. I don't know if you're understanding where I'm going to. Solve the real problem. It's not a sales problem. Your team has not been able to manage more funnel, because more budget for sales does not necessarily give you more sales. It might give you more funnel. But that more funnel, your guys might not know what to do with it. So, for example, your telemarketer calls 10 people, and all of a sudden your telemarketer has called 50 people. She would burn out by the 13th people because her brain stops at 10. So she starts saying nonsense to 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 people. I look like you're wasting money. I'm paying more. People are calling you people. You are not closing the sales. Oga Lawal, does that sound like you?
Exactly, sir. Exactly.
You need to first of all get yourself a good organogram that shows how the people that are structured report to other people when you're scaling, right? There's something that is going on in government now that we're not paying attention. The government is scaling revenue without scaling number of people. Have you guys noticed this? The revenue of government, Nigerian government, has doubled or tripled, but the size of government has not doubled or tripled. Do you guys see it? That's why I say that Tinubu is a class act on efficiency. Yes, there's corruption, but the guy is showing us that he can do more with less. He did not double his cabinet to make double the revenue. He's just creating better structure, right? So one first thing he did was he redesigned the organogram of Nigeria. You guys are following what's going on with the new regionalizing bill. We're going back to regional systems where we have Southwest, Southeast, South, and each state is now going to have seven. Each zone is now going to have seven local 7 states. So that means, for example, Southeast has the lowest number of states. Now they're going to create 2 more states so that Southeast can move from 5 to 7. Are you guys following? And then that means if you design the organogram, the security system in Nigeria, he's redesigning to create state police. You guys understand what's happening? He's giving more power to states. They're giving more power to local government. If you look at the derivation funds and how money is shared now, local government get more money. So he's built structure that can accommodate more revenue. That's what you need to do. So you don't have a sales problem. I can put it to you. You have a structure problem. Let's talk behind the scene, right? You need to sort out the structure problem. You need to get yourself a unit head. You need to get yourself great departmental head, fire head of department when you're not working, and get the right head of department, because at the end of the day, everything falls on leadership, right? And you have a solid general manager. A great team is only as good as the best manager. Look, your manager is your biggest asset you can have. If you don't have a GM, go and get one. If you don't have a business manager, go and get one. Then more importantly, let your GM be empowered to manage people so you can go out and meet networking. And all you e-commerce guys, you still need to understand that no matter how sophisticated e-commerce is in Nigeria, Nigeria is still a brick and mortar country. There's still more people offline than online. You start thinking of having local distribution, which is lower cost than dashing Mark Zuckerberg money every month through social sponsored ad, right? The algorithm of Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all these guys keep changing every single quarter. I don't know if you noticed it. So sometimes the ad that you run, you try to run it again, it's not giving you the same mileage. These guys are playing with you and you're empowering Mark Zuckerberg. Look at what's just going on with WhatsApp now. Now WhatsApp is at a loss. All of us have to have username. Very soon you have password. They're literally going to turn WhatsApp into BB pin, BlackBerry pin again. You do not build a house on a borrowed. You cannot build a house on a borrowed land now. You're building a house on a borrowed land, except you own your own social media platform. Don't build your whole business on social media, right?
Yes, sir.
Ask Konga now. Konga has figured it out now. They are building physical stores. Konga has physical stores. Nigeria is still a brick and mortar country. Nigeria still likes cash, right? A lot of people have realized that, come on, what I ordered versus what I got is a problem. Let me see it first and I'll pay. Cash on delivery. Is that not your biggest problem in e-commerce right now? Cash on delivery.
Yes.
So you understand what's going on, right? So we need to understand that we need to build brick and mortar. Look, I do e-commerce too. I run a food brand, but I'm on Glovo, I'm on Chow Deck. But I always tell my wife, because I run the business with my wife, I always tell her that this food brand, no matter what you do, our biggest strength is distribution network offline. So we have 11 outlets. So that's 11 places you distribute a product. If you give us your cosmetic now, we can put it in 11 different branches. So that when you do a sponsored ad, you can tell them to walk into any branch to pick it up. Do you get my point? We must think strategically. Nigeria is still a hybrid country. I was on Arise News on Saturday, and I was still telling them that Nigeria is still cash heavy. We act like everything is e-commerce, everything is online. The Nigerians do cash. Go to church, tithe and offering. They still prefer you doing that offering through cash. Go to where they are doing party. They still spray money. Kidnappers still do not ask you for transfer. They still want the cash delivered to them, right? If you've ever bribed anybody in government before, may that not be your portion. It's cash that they used to do bribery. Go ask people in the primaries, during primaries when they're sharing money for election. It's still cash in dollars that they're giving. We still need to think brick and mortar. We are not America yet. Hope that makes sense. But first of all, fix your structure problem, fix your team problem, fix your scale problem. Then you can now talk about sales. Hope I'm able to solve your problem a bit.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Guys, should I take one more? Should we just move into macroeconomics outlook 2026?
I think we should move. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Sorry, Madam Ruth, put down your hand. They said we should move. All right. So macroeconomics 2026, right? I'm not using my I borrowed laptop today just to please you guys. Sadly, my slide. Okay, you know what? Try and share slide view, presentation view, right? Okay, please can you try and do that? It's important to share my slide with you guys, right? Share my screen. Yeah, you can share the screen. Okay, don't worry. I think I figured that out. Please, can you guys make me add? Okay, let me share screen. Why say unknown? What's going on? So give me a second. Okay, so while that is going on, let me just you guys can still see me, right? Trying to sort out this share screen thing. So macroeconomics 2026. Now, the only way this class will make sense to you is for you to give me 2 minutes of your time to explain economics 101 to you. Because if I start talking about GDP growth rate, inflation rate, if you don't understand what it means, you'll be floating. So in economics, there are 2 parts of economics. There's macroeconomics and there's microeconomics. Macroeconomics is the economic of a country. Microeconomics is the economics of your business and yourself. So yes, you are here to talk about your business and yourself, but your business and yourself is a subset of the country. So if the country is doing well, there's a high chance that your business will do well. So before we end this class with microeconomics outlook, let me tell you what the macroeconomics outlook is. Now, when I say macroeconomics outlook, what does that mean? What does the economy of the world and Nigeria say? So we ran our prediction last year. We ran our prediction in December. We had a session in December called Outlook 2026, right? And we predicted a lot of things. So by Q2 ending, which is May, I took the recording, I put it on Claude, and I said, Claude, tell me how accurate I was with all of my predictions. And they said I was 89% accurate with my predictions. Now, if anybody knows what 89% means, if you wrote WAEC and you got 89%, what would they call you? B, is that C, B, or A? 89%?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not because I'm a juju man or herbalist told me to predict and I got it right. It is because of basic fundamental of economics. And I want you to understand this. First of all, there are triggers that determine where Nigeria is. But Nigeria and every other country is measured by three things. Pay attention. Macroeconomics is measured by three things. One, productivity of a country. One, productivity's avatar, right? Or mascot is what you call GDP. So every time you hear GDP of a country, what they're talking about is productivity of the country. And in GDP, there are two things, nominal and real GDP and GDP growth rates. Write it somewhere, I'll come back to it. Second way we measure the economy of a country is unemployment rates, right? And then the third way we measure a country is called inflation. Now, there's other ways you measure a country, but any other thing you use is built on the three. So, for example, if they say that the Nigerian reserve, right? Our reserve has grown to about over $51 billion. What does it mean? Right? Nigerian reserve has grown to over 50-something billion dollars. The truth about it, the reason why it's growing is because our inflation is stable. You guys might see why, even though GDP reserve, our economic reserve is not on the top three, it's a product of one of the three. So the three primary things you must understand is what? Unemployment rate, growth, GDP growth rate, or GDP, and then inflation. So I predicted this year. Are there other things like, let me tell you another thing just quickly. How you know where the economy is going to? Exchange rates, right? National reserve, stock market capitalization, all right, population growth rate. There's a lot more. MPR rates, monetary policy rates, that's the CBN rate. Now, everything hinges on the three. Now that economics is broken into two, macro and micro. Let's leave micro and let's stay on macro. Now, macro is influenced by two policies. The first policy is called, let me use my map. The first policy is called fiscal policy, and the second policy is called monetary policy. Are you guys following me? So let me show you guys the curve, right? Can you guys see my screen? I don't know if you guys can see my screen. Is it possible to bring down this thing a bit? Can you guys see my board?
No, sir.
So
yes, we can.
So this is
Yes, sir.
So let me tell you, this is economics. Economics is broken down into two: micro economics and macro economics. Bring it down a bit. Macroeconomics. Microeconomics is economics of businesses and economics of individual. Are you guys following? Now, macroeconomics is broken down into two policies: fiscal policy and monetary policy. Are you guys following? Now, monetary policy is controlled by the CBN. Fiscal policy is controlled by the executive, usually customs. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Usually customs. Nigeria, two major strategic part of our fiscal policy is customs, right? And General Minister of Finance, Minister of Finance, right? Minister of Finance, Minister of Customs. I don't know, guys, that customs under Minister of Finance in Nigeria is an interesting complexity. It's a paramilitary that is also under Minister of Finance. And of course, you have things like under Minister of Finance, our biggest earner in Nigeria is oil. So two strategic people you should look at is, so there are three main people you should understand in Nigeria economy that control economy in terms of regulatory agency. One of them is FRS, That's fiscal policy, right? Taxation is fiscal policy. So let me say that again. Macroeconomics is fiscal policy, monetary policy. Monetary policy is really central bank. Fiscal policy is really CBN. CBN is monetary policy. Fiscal policy is mainly customs, mainly NMPC, mainly FRS. FRS now have a new name, right? I remember I told you guys that FRS go to rebrand, and they had rebranded. There's no more FRS in Nigeria. It's now called NRS, Nigerian Revenue Service. Now, I'm going to tell you what the outlook is looking like, what I predicted and what it's looking like now. Are you guys with me? Now, our monetary policy is determined by our CBN. And the biggest determinant of monetary policy in Nigeria is inflation and NPR. So inflation is the degree of inflation, right? In Nigeria term, non-technical, inflation means literally like cost of living, sort of, right? That's not really what it means, but it means the degree of cash in circulation and all that, but let's not be technical. Inflation in Nigeria as of today is 15.9%. In January, it was 17.something%. I predicted that we're going to be by half year 16% inflation. Now, as of today, it is 15.9. Am I very accurate? If I approximate 15.9, what would that give you? 16% inflation. Good news is when Tinubu said subsidy gone, inflation rose to about 26%. Let me say this. Nigeria is among the top 6 highest inflation country out of 200 plus country in the world. So understand how critical Nigeria's inflation is. Out of all the countries in the world, Nigeria is the 6th biggest inflation in the world. However, Nigeria's inflation is coming down. You went from 26% to 20% to 18% to 16%. As of January, it was 16 points, 15 point something. In February, it fell. In March, increased. In April, increased. May increased. June increased. But not to worry, it didn't increase so much. So Yakubu, just manage, right? It will act like it will kill you, to not kill you. Our inflation is good. If I was a medical doctor and I took your heartbeat, I would tell you that your heartbeat is good. Your blood pressure is high, but it's not hypertensive. So Nigeria's inflation is solid at this point. It can be better. Now, Nigeria's inflation could have been more, and it could have been less. So what triggered our inflation as of today? Well, we had a spike on inflation in 2023 because of subsidy removal, right? And it started to come down. And the direct repercussion of inflation coming down is why dollar has been stable the last 1 year. Am I right or wrong? Has our dollar gone up in the last 1 year or 2 years? Don't forget that 2 years ago, dollar went to as much as $2,000, 2,000 naira per dollar. Now it's how much is there? E-commerce people, how much is dollar for today? As of today, how much is dollar? 1.3 something, Abi 1.4 something.
1.4.
So it's been stable. It's been stable for the past 1 year. Am I right? So that's good
Yes,
news.
sir.
So I'm going to show you. Come, let me say this here. APC did not send me to come and tell you this. So I'm not for any party. I'm just trying to tell you what the data is. Men lie, women lie, government lie, numbers don't. 2 months ago, I was called by one of the people to come and talk about how Nigeria is going to hit that Tinubu promised Nigerians $1 trillion economy by, is it 2030? You should not be sending me that kind of message, please, because I will tell people the truth. And I told people that thing is a lie, that there's no way Nigeria is going to hit a $1 trillion economy in 2030. They'll be using that bobo to win the election. And I showed them what it takes for Nigeria to hit that. For Nigeria to hit $1 trillion economy in 2030, we must grow every year at a 10% growth rate, GDP growth rate. As we speak today, Nigerian GDP growth rate is 2.9% or something like that. So I don't know how we're going to do the magic to hit 10% growth rate. There are very few countries in the world that has 3%. Let me see what a Nigerian growth rate is. Our current growth rate as of January was 3.9, sorry, 3.9, not 2.9, 3.9, sorry, 3.9 growth rate. We're projecting a 4% growth rate. So the only way Nigeria can grow to a $1 trillion economy by 2030 is if they grow at 10%. And look at the data I'm showing you here. Even China is not growing at 10%. Even almighty China is not growing at growth percent. Angola, which is one of the very promising countries in Africa, is not growing at 4%. Africa and Asia is the highest growth rate in GDP growth rate. The worst is Europe. Europe is not growing. Europe is not growing. All of you trying to jump back to UK. I don't know what people are going to go and do in UK. to Japan, UK, except for your children to go and school there. There's more opportunity in Nigeria than in UK, right? Except for insecurity. Now, stay with me. So, what does data say today? As of today, this is Nigeria snapshots. Nigeria's NPR is at 26.9%, if I'm right? 26.5% also NPR, monetary policy rate. That means anybody promising you anything above 10 points of that for money is trying to scam you, right? Even the bank is not going to do anything above that amount, right? So understand the NPR rate, because NPR rate affects every other thing, cash reserve rate and other things, right? Now, second thing to understand is our GDP as of today, we're about the third or fourth biggest economy in Africa. We should be the biggest. But don't worry, Yakubu, manage, don't panic. We fell because of rebasing and because of the spike in our inflation, our exchange rate. So they rebased the economy and we fell, right? And became the fourth economy. Nigeria, according to IMF, is categorized as a market called the frontier market. Now, there are 4 types of markets in the world, according to IMF and World Bank. They categorize country to 4 types: developed nations, right? Developing nation and underdeveloped nation. So, which one is Nigeria? Can you tell me which one Nigeria is? Nigeria is a developed nation, developing, or underdeveloped nation? Which one?
Underdeveloped.
Guy, can you not be patriotic?
Developing
nation. Developing.
We are developing. We're a developing nation. We're not underdeveloped, right? We're not Congo, right? We're not Burundi, right? We are developing. Now, under IMF, developing have 2 types of markets: frontier and emerging markets. Which one is Nigeria? Are we emerging or frontier markets?
Emerging.
Emerging markets, sir.
Actually, we are frontier markets with emerging market capabilities. It's a very risky thing. There's a delicate gap. Nigeria used to be emerging. We fell after rebasing to frontier markets. But we show signs of emerging. Let me tell you why this is important. You might need to search and Google which other country is an emerging market and which other country is a frontier market. So let me tell you guys a hack. And I figured this hack myself. If anything that works in a frontier market anywhere in the world will work in Nigeria. So if you go to, say,
No, I don't get you, sir. Again?
There's
You say it again, sir.
If you look at the categories of countries, any business model that has worked in a frontier market will work in Nigeria. So let me give a good example. POS machine business in Nigeria works. If you open a POS machine business in UK, you go broke. Because they're not in the same market structure in terms of categorization. Do you guys get my logic? So most Nigerians go and ship ideas they see abroad from a emerging market and they bring it to a frontier market that doesn't work. I'm wondering what's happening. Do you guys understand it? If corn is selling in Burundi as an underdeveloped market, does not mean that if you bring corn in Nigeria to sell. I don't know if that sort of makes sense.
Okay.
But I'm trying to show you guys the snapshot, right?
Excuse me, Mr. Stu. Can you, for those that didn't do economics, what's a frontier market? Can you define it, please, and an emerging market? Maybe that would help.
Okay, so market systems, right? That call it market system. Market categorization, right? I'm trying to show ChatGPT to see what that is, but market categorization. Sorry, can you share your screen again? By market categorization, please, I mistakenly associated. By market, from understanding of frontier market and emerging market is markets are determined based on the size of their population over the size of their GDP. So GDP per capita, right, is a factor, and that factor is the degree of the maturity of their stock markets. That's their capital markets, right? Right. Nigeria capital market is valued at about $100 billion, right, in market cap. It's very small compared to the British or the UK capital markets, right? Or the New York stock market, NYSE, right? Nigeria, New York Stock Exchange, right? By the development of this infrastructure, right? For example, the tallest building in Nigeria as we speak right now is 30 something floor. There's no building in Nigeria that's 45 floor. If you go to Dubai, you can be sleeping in a hotel that's on the 80th floor. So sometimes infrastructure determines where to put the market. Then the maturity of its banking system. So there are factors that IMF used to categorize markets. So when they say development measure, does not mean who speaks more Funel, who went to more school. But school is a factor. Maturity of capital market is a factor. Maturity of banking sector is a factor. Nigerian banking sector is becoming very mature and very stable, especially with the recent bank recapitalization that happened this year, right? Right. And of course, GDP per capita, and of course, the strength of its other factors, right? For example, Nigeria is about the fourth biggest economy in Africa. Nigeria, even though the fourth biggest economy in Africa, Nigeria has one of the highest degree of rich people. If you look at the top 10 richest Africans, you find that 3 out of them or 4 out of them might be Nigerians out of the 50-something African country. So that's a factor, right? But there's a problem. Our rich people in this country are selling things to poor people and not to rich people. In case you're looking for where the money is not in rich people. Let me say this, dear Nigerians, your money is not in people speaking Ghana, man. I just got back, man. The money is in people buying noodles in Malam shop. The money is in people buying bread. Why do you think the richest man in Nigeria is selling flour for bakery in bread? And he's selling sugar for them to mix the flour to do bread. What else is he selling? Salt for buka. He's selling you petrol for filling station, for keke. The people that consume more fuel in Nigeria is not people driving G-Wagon and Range Rover. It's the Uber guys and the Danfo driver that is buying fuel 5 times in a day because he can only afford 5,000 naira per fuel. So he does 2 trips, he makes more money, he go and buy fuel. Have you seen keke people? Have you ever seen a keke guy that's buying full tank before? Have you seen a keke buying full tank before? But they can go 4 times. I mean, I have a barber. There's a guy that used to barb my hair near my street. I like to go there because it's closer. My children go to barb hair in more expensive. I always tell my wife that my children barb hair for 5 times the price of my own hair. My children like to go to where they will give them Ribena when they're barbing their hair and they watch TV. When I used to go and barb my hair, they don't have TV, DSF. But I always jokingly say together, every time I come to barb your hair, you always go to go and buy fuel. If you see where this guy goes to go and buy fuel, it's one small 5-liter jerry can. I say, okay, why you not just buy 25-liter jerry can? He said, okay, where the money to buy 25 liters? As you pay me small, I can go buy. But these are the guys fueling the economy. So when Tinubu's wife advises you to go and start cassava and corn business, okay, let me not go there before they will chase me out of Nigeria. I don't have another country, right? But you guys get my point, right? So I think, Ma, have I explained what frontier and emerging market is?
Yes, thank you.
Has a code name. It's called HS. I can't remember. It's called highly poor and indebted country. Countries that are indebted, they will never come out of that debt except they give them grants. You remember when Nigeria was in 1998? When Obasanjo became president in 1999, the first thing he did was travel all over the world to be begging for them to relieve our debt. It was called debt relief. You know the reason why Nigeria was bounced back because most people forgave our debt. Have you ever? Somebody ever owed you money before that? You just call the guy and say, "Guy, I get more reason to their life." That's last degree. So I've explained what our inflation rate is, right? Our GDP growth rate is at 3.9%. Good, very promising, one of the best in the world right now, right? The only people that come close to us is Asia, and not just Asia, but Southeast Asia, right? Singapore, I was in Singapore last year, very solid country that works, absolutely works, right? Right? And you can tell a country that works. If you want to sell a country that works, let me tell you, if you don't tell a country that works, look at their stock market, right? And look at their banking system, right? Then look at their per capita income and look at their GDP per capita. Does that make sense? All right, so I've explained all the jargons of economics that I can understand. Does anybody have any questions at this point before I tell you how that affects your business? Quickly. I know I was talking really fast. You might need to go back and watch the video. I have a slide. This is my slide. How many pages are my slide? Let me see. My slide is 66 pages. Clearly, I can't use this slide. But if you're the Inner Circle member, I will give you the slide for free, right? One more reason why you should join the Inner Circle. But beyond that is I want us to, maybe we might need to do a part 2, but the part 2 will be only for people for the Inner Circle because I'm not doing well with time. Clearly, we're not doing well with time. But does anyone have any questions quickly on where Nigeria is and where Nigeria is going to? What do we do? Please, can you go to the BQ, please, and check whether there's any staff there? Please turn on the gen, please. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Nothing has happened. Any questions at this point? Okay. So let's look at what it is. Look at the map of where the world is currently. You can see that the most promising country is South Asia, Southeastern Asia, then developing countries. This is where Nigeria is. This place I am talking, I don't know if I can see my cursor. This is where Nigeria is. The worst countries in terms of growth rate is actually America and Europe. And there's a reason for that. America and Europe is not growing, and their population is not growing. They're not giving birth to plenty children. In Japan, they incentivize people to give birth to children. If you give birth to children, they'll give you money. In Nigeria, we're begging people not to give birth. One man has 7 children and doesn't have a job. Those are things that grow in our economy. We have the lowest. Nigeria, 1 out of 5 people in the world by 2050 will be Nigerian or something like that. Nigeria is going to be about the 5th biggest, and we have one of the youngest population. And any country that has a young population is very promising. But here's the fun fact. Last year, Nigeria GDP growth rate became higher than our population growth rate. Fantastic. I don't want to go to the maths of that. That's fantastic. See, guys, whether we like it or not, Tinubu is working. Nigerians are poorer, but Nigeria is richer, and Nigeria is better positioned. There are 4 things that's happened in the last 2-3 years that has changed the face of Nigeria. One is the subsidy removal. Second one, so subsidy reform, let me just call it petroleum reforms that happened. Right. 2 was unification of the dollar, right? And now you don't need to know somebody in CBN to collect money to change dollar. You know, back then, I used to think while I was growing up, I think Bureau de change was a Hausa word, because almost every Hausa person was Bureau de change. That has been solved. Tinubu is really showing us how to balance things, right? Not others are shouting, but the country is getting better because a lot of disempowerment has happened, especially around our financial system. Almost every Bureau de change guy was such a aboki. They left Emefiele there because Emefiele was just a poster boy for the North, right? Third thing that's happened is the electricity subsidy removal. People don't know that subsidy has been removed in electricity. They did not make so much noise about it the same way they did with petrol. That's why you have band A, band B, band C, and band H. Some people are on a time bandage now, right? And that's what is fueling diversification in electricity and energy. Do you guys notice that all of a sudden everybody's talking solar? That solar has created a whole new sector. So in case somebody is asking what to do, please put your money in solar business. I personally this year invested in a solar company. I had a former employee who was my assistant. He made the first class in EE. He was my assistant. When he made the first class, he went back to school and he came back and said, look, he wasn't going to work again. I said, that's fine. I understand. You read engineering, electrical engineering. What do you want to do with your life? He says he wants to start up a solar company. I said, fantastic. Come and collect money. I was the first seed investor in that business. That business, the next 2 months after I put my money, made more money than Xavier made that month. So this is the right time to go into electricity diversification, especially now we're talking about alternative energy and what you call smart AI powered. Oh, my dog has started again. I told you guys come and buy dog. People don't want to buy dog. My dog has started backing again, right? If I call the name of this dog, now people will laugh. So let me not call the name of the dog, right? But you guys can hear me, right? You guys can still hear me, right? All right. So fundamentally, some things has changed the face of Nigeria. One of them was the subsidy removal. Third one was the electricity tariff removal. Third thing that has happened that we don't pay attention to is, of course, the liberalization of the midstream sector by Dangote coming in as a big player and re-ending subsidy importation of fuel. So 2 things happened at the same time. Subsidy was removed and importation of fuel was removed. Yes, 2 days ago, I was at Dangote refinery. I did that 2 hours Coastal Road. I love the Coastal Road. If there's nothing we can thank Tinubu for, let's thank him for that Coastal Road, right? I did 45 minutes between VI to Dangote refinery, right? Ogatunde, are you with us today? I went to visit Ogatunde's space. I'm putting my money there, right? And please, if everybody's interested, if I'm telling you I'm putting my money there, then there's something there, right? I'm buying like plot of land from his property just next to the first property just after the refinery. The first commercial, I think, is going to be one of the biggest real estate companies there. Please, if you're interested to get more detail on it, we're not selling you land that does not have title. Our land is fully CFO, full CFO. We're not talking about governance consent or gazette or all these funny things that I bought from land. When you finish, you got perfect it. Everything is buy and build, right? If you want to get more detail on that, please drop your phone number. Right? Please, guys, anybody that has money, put your money there. The Coastal Road is passing this guy's estate. To the left is Coastal Road, to the right is the port, right? And it's such an amazing. I realized that there are over 20,000 people working in Dangote refinery and the new port. I went to that port. That port is going to be bigger than Tinkerland Land when they finish it, and people are still working there. 20,000 people, they don't have where to stay or where to live. So whoever builds a house there and gives it out as shortlet or gives that in as room, right, would make a killing, right? So if you're interested in that, please let me know. So 3 things that has happened is the subsidy removal, Dangote coming in as this big player, changed the face of that. Because of that is the reason why we also have a stable inflation, and why we have a better national reserve, because Nigeria is spending a lot of money on paying subsidies by importation of oil. Now we don't pay importation of oil. And that thing that has happened that nobody's paying attention to is infrastructural development. Once the development of infrastructures, and Tinubu is big on that, you're going to see a lot of people look at how much development has happened towards Coastal Road, right? Core Atlantic was actually abandoned, but once Coastal Road started now, you can't even buy a plot of land for 2 billion. A plot of land, you can't find a plot of land 2 billion in a free trade zone, right? If you can buy a land that has good title and you can trust, right? I can vouch for when I'm buying. They not send me I'm buying. I'm ready to share my plug with you guys. Please chat me up or send a DM when my guys call you guys to see whether it's something you're interested in. Please buy now and keep. Infrastructure is happening. Then there are a few other things that has happened that we're not paying attention to, right, in the economy. But these are the things that have triggered massive macroeconomics. Also, our oil production has increased drastically. Nigeria produces at 1.4 million barrel, 1 million barrel, 1.4 million barrel. Nigeria is heading towards 2 million barrel per day in oil production. And because of the war between Iran, Israel, and America, that also spiked price per barrel. So if you do the math of price per barrel times barrel per production, you find that Nigeria is having a ball. We are literally balling, right? Oil price is high, production rate is high, right? And how is production rate high? Tinubu has mastered how to tell Nigeria Delta to calm down. They have not been bombing pipelines since he came. And because they've not been bombing pipelines since he came, because they don't Nigeria Delta militants, right? Insecurity has stabilized. I was in Port Harcourt twice last month. And those twice I did my morning run. And I was just telling somebody that, oh, that's how I ended up Port Harcourt become safe. 3 years, every time I go to a new city, I do my runs, right? I mean, I like to run, right? But I don't run in cities that are restive. Maybe I don't go, they run, make Unacon they run around because I run, because they don't kidnap me, right? Port Harcourt and Rivers is quite safe. The small problem they have is Fibara and Wike. That one, they've settled that one now. Wike is not running. Fibara is not running for election. Wike is assistant governor, right? We are going to have a Jagaban there. But you guys get my point, right? So these are the things that have happened in the last 1 year. Our economy is looking very good, right? This is current inflation trend. January, this is what I was saying, 15.10, 15.06, 15.38. So you can see the steady rise, but it is still very stable, right? The growth is not, the world is growing, but very unevenly, right? Asia is growing the most, followed by Africa, and Nigeria is leading that African growth rate, right? Now, let me say this. Everything I've said in this class is called Circle of Concern. Now, I read a book years ago, and that book says that there are two things you must pay attention to: your circle of concern and your circle of influence. Now, circle of concerns are the things you should know, but you cannot influence. Like everything I've said here, none of you can influence it. You cannot influence oil production rate. You cannot influence global oil price rate. You cannot influence inflation. You cannot influence stock market. You cannot influence GDP growth rate. You cannot influence GDP per capita. But it concerns you. So that's why it's called circle of concern. Now, wisdom is to know the circle of concern and now leave it and concentrate on the circle of influence. So I'm going to talk about circle of influence in detail now. But before I go into that, we'll go for a short commercial break. Let us sell our market here. Please, if you've gotten value for this class, put a smiley up. Let me know that I'm not talking to myself. And I'll take 3 questions just quickly. 3 questions. I like to have my classes interactive. I'll take 3 questions. So if I had tried to, let me say something also before I go. If I've tried to not answer your question, you have a chance to raise your hands up back because of time, but I can take one more question. Let me say this. Something is happening in the stock market. Nigeria's stock market is one of the most promising. So something happened between January and June that we're not paying attention to. There was a lot of foreign direct investors into Nigeria. Now, before you are happy about it, the people that came were called portfolio investors. Now, there's a problem I have with portfolio investors. People that come into this country to invest temporarily in our stock market, we call it hot money in economics. Hot money is good, but the problem with hot money is that, you know that when you say push come to your country, there's a difference between investor and tourists. We want investors, we want tourists, but you know that once there's problem, the first people to leave a country is tourists, not investors. Investors will not leave. Investors will fight because their money is there. Do you guys understand it? What has kept Lagos working is not tourism. What has kept Lagos working is non-Lagosians that came to Nigeria, Lagos, and worked in Lagos. So if they say there is riot now, we'll protect our house because we have built house in Lagos. We'll protect our area. Look at what happened during Occupy Nigeria, Occupy, was it what's it called this? Occupy the protest. What's the protest? The last protest. NSAS. What saved Lagos was not government per se. It was Nigerians saving Nigeria. Lagosians facing Lagosians, right? People that had place protected their place, because if everybody starts to loot, then all of us are. So the problem with hot money is that people that come in and invest in our stock market and they're ready to leave. And why they're ready to our stock market? Our stocks are cheap. Dollar, when you have dollar compared to naira, it looks a lot. So these are the factors that has affected Nigeria. But let me say this here: whether it's hot money or cold money, Nigeria made progress. Our stock market has returned over 46% returns, right? If you invested money last year in Nigeria stock market, you'd have blown by this year. There are very few stock markets in the world that give us the return. Some stocks gave us, and let me also say this here: no company told me to sell anything here. I'm telling you what the data is. Some shares blew by almost double. If you bought Aradel share last year, Aradel returned 100% return. Guys, you know what 100% means? If you put your, that means, let me explain this way. If you put your 100 million in fixed deposit last year, you'd have made 112 billion. If you put 100 billion in Aradel, you'd have made 200 billion. So you can tell, double, your money would have doubled. You'd have made a double. Seplat returned at almost 98%. Stock to look out for this year and this quarter. Stock to look out for, let me tell you, look at stocks that are into 3 categories. So here's the thing. Nigeria has grown. The biggest contributor to that growth is service industry, banking, telecoms. But the real growth for stock is around developmental stocks, infrastructural stocks. Now, what do you mean by infrastructural stocks? Dangote Cement did so well because it's an infrastructural stock. Nigeria is a big construction site, in my own opinion. Everybody is building. If you make plenty money now, what's the first thing you think about? Buy land, build. And who is the biggest winner? Cement, Dangote Cement. So in case you're looking to put money, please, and in stock markets, please buy Dangote stock and buy Boa stock. Now, another promising industry is petroleum, right? Now, there's been a lot of weight on the Dangote refinery IPO. Now, let me say this. There are scammers everywhere. Dangote IPO has not started. What they are working on is private placements. Nobody is selling shares in Dangote, at least publicly. So last month, there was a heavy cash out. A lot of people collected their earnings and the stock market shook last year. Why did the money shake? First, there was a lot of dividend payouts, right? And then most people removed the money and they will put it back, especially HNIs. A lot of HNIs remove money and put it on Dangote's private placement. For example, Otedola is putting his $100 million plus on Dangote refinery. It's the right thing to do. So let's wait. If you hear that Dangote refinery has started selling, please buy. Except your village people are against you, but we don't know when that will happen. As of last week, I was on Arise News, and I clearly said on Arise News publicly that the SEC had clearly put out a communique that said Dangote has not filed and they've not approved any IPO. But if they approve, pay attention, please buy the stock. Another stock you need to buy is upstream shares, upstream oil exploration and oil production stocks. What am I talking about? Aradel stock and Seplat stock. Best stock to buy right now. Also, agriculture is looking good. If you can buy Okomu and Presco, please buy those stocks. For you guys on Bamboo, on Cowrywise, on Piggy Vest, and you want to buy stocks, I've told you the stocks you can buy. Guys, this thing I'm telling you people, a lot of mathematics that has gone into this maths. I've also bought, right? Ogatunde, remember the question I had with you yesterday when I showed you a screenshot of something, right? Ogatunde, are you on this call? I'm not sure he's on this call, right? So I've shown you guys where the world is going. I've showed you guys where Nigeria is going to. 3 things affected us the most in Nigeria. 2 was exocentric, 1 was endocentric. What do I mean exocentric? 2 was external, 1 was internal. 1 was the war between Ukraine and Russia. We thought it was going to end. They are still not ended. As we speak right now, Ukraine is giving Russia basbos. David and Goliath. David is beating Goliath. We never thought that Ukraine will be able to hold Russia to war for 2 straight years. But Ukraine is even doing better now than we are assumed. Russia, and that war affects logistics more than any other thing, because a lot of our agri and logistics come from Ukraine. People don't know that Ukraine is one of the biggest producers of certain crops, right? Now, second thing that happened in January. When I was talking in January, Donald Trump had not woken up in the wrong side of the bed. After I gave my projection, Donald Trump decided to sleep and wake up and started to look for trouble everywhere. Basbos everywhere. First time with Nigeria. And I called Nigeria. What does the name he called Nigeria? right? Nigerian government went, lobbied. Shasha did somehow. He now said that the war was against Christians. He now said that he sent people. As of 2 days ago, he said that I stopped killing in Christians in Nigeria. I said, which Nigeria? Is it the one that we're living in or another one? But Shah went ballistic. I was looking for trouble up and down. The first guys he flew for trouble was Iran, right? Iran war started. Iran war was the biggest hit of the world in the last 6 months. That war spiked. Of course, Iran is one of the highest producing oil companies in the world, oil countries in the world. The first thing that happened was price per barrel moved from 48 to 58 to as high as $100 per barrel. That was a major factor. Internally, Nigeria's inflation would have been better because of oil production. But here's the problem. Why oil went high, everybody was saying Nigeria will win, Nigeria will win. But people don't understand the politics of Nigerian upstream. Is that Nigeria has sold their oil forward. So Nigeria have sold oil. Let me tell you how Nigeria sold oil. Nigeria sold oil by going to a country and say, look, we're looking for money. We don't have money. Borrow us money and we'll pay you from oil we'll sell in the future. So we were selling oil that we are drilling oil that we have collected money before. So why dollar was $100 per barrel, Nigeria was not really selling $100 per barrel. People don't know that math, but that's really the math. So we didn't really win that much as we won. If that was not at one, we would have had a major prosperity. Sadly, we had a president called Buhari that sold the future in the past to the president, knowing that he was not going to be in the future. Right? May people that are not going to be in the future may they not determine your future. This is my problem I have with when our leaders are above 70 or 80 years old. They are creating liabilities for us. You have a population where over 70% is less than 40 years, but all your leaders are above 70. That is football age, not their real age. So you can see where the real issues were. But let's get back to the reality. Internally, something happened in Nigeria that we're not paying attention to. This kidnapping that spiked hit our food production because I have clients that are into agriculture that cannot go to their farm as we speak right now, especially in the northeast and north center. It's even coming closer to southwest, right? You guys know about the oil kidnap. These factors are hitting our agriculture. So right now, food shortage is affecting our inflation by what you call food inflation. Then the spike of the crude oil affects Dangote refinery because Dangote buys oil at natural rates and national rates. Yes, people say Nigeria produces crude oil. Whether Nigeria produces crude oil or not does not affect how much Dangote is producing oil. Let's understand that fact. Dangote will buy oil at the natural rate globally. You're not going to sell to Dangote because it's Nigeria different. So Dangote transfer that risk to us. Since it's the monopolistic producer of petrol, he pegged the price higher, right? And of course, what happened with that is that petrol has become more expensive and transportation cost has happened. So inflation, two major spikes is insecurity, and the second spike is petrol, right? If you're in Nigeria, in Lagos, you know how much petrol is right now. If you enter bus, you know how much traffic you see in bus stops right now for people waiting for bus. So these are the factors. So let's go on a quick commercial break. Guys, has it been worth your time so far? When we come back from this commercial break, Olumide, please confirm that you are here and you're ready for us. When we go on this quick commercial break, let me stop sharing my screen. When we come back, I'm going to look at your business. So everything I've talked about is circle of concern. I'm going to come to the circle of influence. What are the strategies and structures that I've stopped sharing? What are the strategies and structures that can change your trajectory? Now you know where the world's going to. I've told you what economies are growing. I've told you what countries are growing. Nigeria is a fast-growing country. I've told you infrastructure is growing. I've told you where to put your money. Put your money in land right now. Put your money in stocks and bonds. But the stock market is shaking. It's going to shake. There's going to be a bust. Leave all this AI plenty grammar. Nigeria is not a partner or a strategic player in AI. We are just an end user consumer, right? Right. So a lot of people don't understand what's going on globally. Nigeria biggest problem is food, clothing, shelter, housing. Put your money there and don't put your money in all this plenty tech business. I'm not saying tech business are not working, but that's not where the economy is. Even Dangote is not putting money in tech, he's putting money in infrastructure. Put your money in infrastructural stocks that are building real life things like manufacturing, like agriculture, like production, like oil and gas, right? Like real estate. That's where you should put your money in. Our interest rate is low, all right? This is not the best time to put your money in fixed deposit. And this is a perfect way to also introduce you guys to a client of ours who does fixing at 30 to 35%. Now, if you know anything about banking, you know that they don't bank in Nigeria that can give you interest at 30, 35%. right? I've still put my money there, and I think that's important that you all do that. If you want to get more detail on how you can get 30% to 35% return on your money, that means what I'm saying, if you give us 100 million, we'll give you 135 million by this time next year. There are very few businesses that can give you 35%, right? Or few, I'm not sure there's any bank that will give you that. And there's a reason, there's a behind the scenes story. Is a client that owns a microfinance bank, also owns a real estate company. So, and his real estate company is high demand. So once he's building, he already has off-takers around the Dangote refinery. So that's the reason why he needs to raise money. And so he has most of the money already. So just needs to set up, he has most of the demand already, just creates money to do supply. Very technical. If you want to get more details, I'll explain it to you guys. I spent the last 14 years discussing fiscal policy and monetary policy. If you wake me up in my sleep, I understand it's not like back of my hands. I'm a mathematician by training, by first degree, 3 master's degree. What I'm saying, you can take them to the bank any given day. But if you doubt anything I've said, you can raise up your hands and we can have a conversation around it. But if you want me to throw more light on things, you also raise up your hands to do that. If you want to join the inner circle, this is a foretaste on the quality of the conversations that we have in the inner circle. Before we go into this, please, does anybody here in the inner circle want to tell us what they've learned or how valuable the inner circle has been? Because I like to say evidence terminates arguments. The best form of marketing is testimonials. Is there anybody here that can tell us if it's been worth your time? Maybe you can probably just unmute your mic and share what you've learned. I'll be willing to do that quickly before we go into the questions and the short videos. Does somebody want to share what they've learned so far? Okay. Inner circle, guys, please let me know. You can raise up your hands at any point. Maybe when you come back, we'll take that. But I would suggest now that we play the video, just pay attention to this because the inner circle also gives you complimentary access to the breakfast with Izu. And I want to take a short video on some of these things quickly. So Olumide, over to you.
Hi, my name is Izu. Izu Uwama, the MD of Xavier. I'm a business and management consultant with a core on building startups and restructuring bigger businesses for expansion and of course for systems, right? I spent the last 10 years building businesses, right? Both for myself and for others. I've fit on multiple boards and all that. And one of the things I'm passionate about is the reason why I'm doing this, right? This event called Breakfast with Izu. You see, every month we gather CEOs, top level executives from all walks of life, all industries, right? All cadres and tiers of skill. And then we talk about how they can build better businesses, how they can be better, how they can do more, be more, have more. Because I feel like if you know the power you have, you won't be afraid of yourself. A lot of us don't know how big we can go because of constraints, like mindset, like culture, like staffing, like structure, like strategy. So we gather strategy, structure, systems, shared values, and we show people how they can do all those things better. I feel like the difference between you now and the next 10 years is people you meet and the things that you know. Nothing changes a man's destiny more than knowledge and vision, right? And that vision comes from people. Because if you meet someone today, you can change your mindset and show you how you can be more. So I'm really looking forward to having you at the next Breakfast Easy session, or perhaps working with your business and your brand in Xavier. Thank you and God bless you.
All right, thank you so much. Olumide, maybe we can have one more.
Real estate is a powerful way to build wealth and secure your future. At Hexavia Consulting, we're committed to connecting you with sustainable growth opportunities. We're proud to announce our strategic partnership with Xylus Homes, a leader in Nigerian real estate development. Xylus Homes delivers quality solutions, helping thousands acquire valuable property assets. Their excellence aligns perfectly with Hexavia's mission. Our community now gains exclusive access to investment opportunities and expert property advisory. Together, we're building stronger pathways for financial growth. Join us in welcoming Xylus Homes. Together, we are building wealth and creating lasting legacies.
All right, thank you so much. I've done work for over 50 real estate companies in the last 10 years. I sit on a few boards, but there are very few companies I would like to put my brand behind. One of them happens to be Xylox. I sit on the board of Xylox Homes, one of the most promising and the most emerging real estate companies. Their developments are crazy, what they're doing, and also the other opportunities. So if you want to deal with us, right, you can always reach out to the numbers on the chat section. All right. So with that being said, let's deep dive into the question. So does anybody have a question? Please raise your hands up on something I've said or a business challenge that you have. Let's try to explore it together. Anybody have any questions? Just quickly. Or did I lose you guys because I was talking pretty fast? Yeah, somebody sent me a DM about the real estate place I was talking about, refinery. Well, that particular one is another client, right? I'm sitting on two with two hats. First is my client, and also I'm also his customer because I'm buying a few plots from him. That's the one I think that's in the chat section. Right. It's just the property next to the refinery, the first residential property fully development is going on there as we speak. Also, more importantly, it has a proper title. All documentations is done. They have permits to build, not just C of O, right? And they've started building already, so you can engage. I think in the next few months, if you buy, this is my own suggestion, if you buy and you decide to sell in the next few months, you'll probably be doing as much as 30-40% increase on it just in the next few months, because you can't even find land to buy there, so you have to buy as a secondary market. Right. So these are some of the advantages you get when you are part of the inner circle. And let me say this. We moved to Port Harcourt in June, and we opened 2 outlets in June because of an inner circle member that already had a restaurant, and we just decided to expand to have another brand of restaurants, right? And it's something I've come to realize that is really important, and we need to start thinking strategic in this country. People don't know that MRS and Dangote are very, very related. They're actually cousins. That's why if you go to any filling station in Nigeria, you find out that MRS always have more people. There's usually a queue, a small queue in MRS, and the reason is very simple. Why do people buy more from MRS than filling station? MRS actually sells cheaper fuel as we speak than any other filling station in Nigeria. And why do they sell cheaper fuel? Of course, when your brother is Dangote, he's going to sell petrol to you at a lesser price. So that's why I always say that collaboration and association is important. Now, for you to scale a business in this country, there are 3 things you must do. First, you must create a great product and a great brand. So I'm now moving into what you can do different. The next 6 months, this is what is going to happen. Nigerians are moving away from extreme poverty, especially around middle class. Poverty is higher in the lower class. Middle class is more liquid. If you're middle class here, you know that you have made more money than you did in the last 2-3 years. So there's prosperity around middle class. We call it selective prosperity. Now, what happens when people become more successful in middle class? They become more brand centric. So whatever you're selling in Nigeria, the best thing you can do while selling that is to build a brand. People will pay 30% more for a product that has more brand. Right? That has more brand. Go to the supermarkets. Check your stores, check your assortment shelves in your supermarket. Go to the supermarket, look at the shelf. You find out that the brands that have more, the product that have more brand name are like 30% more expensive than the next brand. Right? Check how much a bottle of water is. One Agberu bottle water, and check how much Nestle water is. Even though Nestle and that bottle water is the same size, you find out that Nestle is more expensive. Check out the price of any other soft drink and check out the price of Coke. Check out the price of any artist and check out the price of Davido and Wizkid. Nigeria is a country that is very brand centric. All of you going to China to go and be producing products without brand name. Just tell the guy to put your name on it. One of the best and the biggest brand I've worked with in the last 10 years that I'm proud to say, look, we built this brand is a company called New Age. When New Age started, I don't know if you guys know New Age, the power bank, the charger. Every Igbo, Tom, Dick, and Harry was going to China to produce charger. The most brilliant advice we gave New Age was, look, where Nigeria is going to is not flooding the market with charger and cable that is the strength. It is flooding the market with a brand that is identifiable. And we're the first guys to create a brand that had a name on it. This was way before Raimo came 3 years after, right? But before then, we had made a killing from selling chargers with We were the first guys to use brand ambassadors in the role of Alaba International. We got JJ Kocha to be on all the chargers. Then we got Don Jazzy to be on the chargers, right? We're the one that taught Oraimo how to put Burna Boy in their chargers, on their chargers. You have to think brand centricity. Brand is so important. Carry yourself well. Dear CEO here, don't build a social media brand without building, don't build a brand for your product without building a brand for yourself. So let me tell you what has happened in the world the last 20 years. The last 20 years, brands have been sold by their CEOs branding themselves. So why is Tesla such a big deal? Because of Elon Musk. I was telling you that Elon Musk is arguably more popular than Tesla. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. True, sir.
Look at Nigeria. Dangote is an introvert, but Dangote has become more commercially feasible. I mean, Dangote is one of the most identifiable human beings. Oga put his brand his face next to the brand. First of all, the most genius thing I think Dangote did was the fact that he called the name of the company his own name, Dangote. So guys, carry your brand well. See, I always tell my guys that, look, the biggest asset Xavier has is Izu, right? Brand Izu well, make Izu look good. Build a brand. See, if you need to be dancing on TikTok, please go and be dancing on TikTok. Whatever makes you popular will help sell your brand. Look, I was telling somebody that, look, in Nigeria, if you don't know what to sell controversy. So first hack is where Nigeria is going to the next 6 months and the next 6 years would be brands that their CEOs are popular would be an added advantage. So all of you say, I don't like social media, I don't like to be popular, I don't want to brand. Guys, if what you do is carry billboard and put on memory and advertise yourself, advertise a breakfast session, please go ahead and do it. Whatever makes your brand popular, because when you decide to do IPOs, people will not just put money on your product, they'll put the money on your brand. Have you ever heard it saying that people don't invest in ideas, people invest in people? But if you're not investable, it won't work. So what does it take to build a brand? First, you must be unique. 2, you must be easy to identify. And 3, you must be consistent. So that's the first hack I'm giving you. Second hack I must give you is, if you must invest, diversify your investment. If you're going to buy stock, if you have 100 million to buy stock, don't buy 100 million naira of the same stock. Buy 100 million of 5 different stocks. Buy small Seplat, buy small Okomu, buy small Dangote sugar, Dangote cement, buy small Boa cement, buy small Aradel, right? Buy the banks. I think that the banks will have another round of a public offering. If you follow the news, you see what's going on now. CBN Secret and another one that said that this whole about 20%, so they're going to go back to raise more money, and that'll be a win for people who bought bank shares. Bank recapitalization is going on. A lot of banks has been acquired. Somebody was telling me of recent that there are about 3-4 banks that are up for acquisition. Because I'm on live thing, I would have said something in confidence, but I don't want to create poor confidence to the banking sector. But in the next few weeks, remember I said this, you're going to hear news that 3 more banks will be acquired by bigger banks. There are some banks right now that have not met their capitalization and are struggling, and there are banks that have met their capitalization. Some banks have gone national. And I'm having a question from an insider who works with almost all the banks. There's no banking training school and no intervention. I'm not a part of both commercial and investment bank. And I'm sitting on interesting data to see, I know which banks are up for sale and which banks are going to be acquired and which banks are going to be merged. If you DM me, I will have that conversation with you in private. But the banking sector is probably going to go through another round, right, of a few banks will be, of course, you guys know what's going on right now with certain banks. Bank capitalization has been increased. A lot of banks have raised their capitalization. Some bank that used to be regional has become national. A bank like Wema Bank is now national, right? A lot of commercial banks have gone national. A lot of banks have been acquired so they can go national. I mean, someone was telling me that what bank did he say has been acquired now? Okay, I think Providus is acquiring Unity Bank, so they can expand to the north, because Unity Bank used to be former Bank of the North. Unity Bank is bigger in the north. So you need to understand what demography and know where to put your money. But before you put your money somewhere, the best investment you can do is to carry your money and put it in your business that is promising. Let me say this, don't carry the money that you're supposed to put in your business to go and be doing investment. Don't do the thing that we Igbo people do. An Igbo man is running transport business. He has 10 luxury buses that are doing well. Instead of to use the money to buy the 11th luxury bus, use the money to go and buy shares. The most promising business that you have is still your own business if it's promising. So I hope that right. All right. So any questions at this point? Any questions at this point? Just quickly.
All right. I think my question will be about the building of brand. So now, if you are trying to build a brand, are you just going to look for a product that you want to personalize, or you can currently set out the product that you are currently saying and say, okay, I want to build my brand around this. And at the same time, if you are building your personal brand, are you going to build your personal brand around your business, or you're just going to be doing lifestyle, or what exactly is it going to be all about?
Okay, so you're asking two questions. First of all, your personal brand should come from something you're passionate about, so you don't live a life that is not yours. Don't be in a life is too short to live in a body not your own. Life is too short to not live a body what you enjoy. So, for example, I've built a personal brand around intellectualism. I love to read. I like school. I like to go to school. I'm doing PhDs. I'm doing masters. So, all of my brand is just 2 days ago. I got a delivery of my 3 new books. So that's what I'm building a brand around what I enjoy, which is intellectuality, which is teaching. That's why I have the breakfast session. The breakfast session is Izu's flagship product. That's what you guys saw, breakfast with Izu. That's personal brand. So yours might not be that. Yours can be something else, right? Let me give an example. Tony Melu, in my own opinion, is not gifted with oratory. I mean, if you ever heard Tony Melu speak, he's not motivating, if you know what I mean. I mean, his results cannot be argued, but his speeches are like, why is girl is talking about democratizing luck? If you pack me in a room and tell me to speak for 5 hours, what would he be talking about for 5 hours? But if you notice what he's built, he's a swag. Guy has swag. So what did he do? He built a brand around swag. Has anybody noticed it? He dresses well. In his Instagram, he's jumping from one private jet to another. He's showing you how he came out from a BMW and entered a Rolls Royce. You know, that's something he enjoys. That's one thing he likes. He lives that life, right? Somebody said that Abu Arabi was showing us private jets. But Dangote is never going to show you that. You're not going to see a video of Dangote with him jumping out from one car to another car, from him from one private jet to another, even though he has maybe 2, 3 private jets. Do you guys get? So I'll let people brand according to what you enjoy and what you're naturally at. Does that make sense? Then create a flagship product from that thing you're good at. So Tony like to do giveaway. What did he do? He created a flagship NGO, Tony Foundation. I was telling that Tony Foundation is probably one of the most popular foundations in Nigeria. I sit on his mentorship board of TEF. So that's Tony Foundation. This guy has given $10,000 to 10,000 people. That's over $100 million. That's what he enjoys. He built his brand and his flagship around it. So if you're going to be a personal brand, have a flagship personal product. It can be a book, it can be teaching, it can be a breakfast session, it can be anything. It can be a place. It can be a place. You can brand and call it Izu's Place. I don't know if you get it, right? Wale Adenuga did not know what to brand around. He built Alliance Française and called it, he built a place and called it Wale Adenuga Center. Right? That's personal brand. At least everybody remember it. Did you guys get it right? That's personal brand building in itself. So you can build in anything you want to build. Tinubu not know waiting to brand. The brand cap. That cap now has become the most popular cap in Nigeria. Anybody that wants to show on your mandate to go and borrow cap and wear, or go and buy cap and wear, both the ones that are seeing the money and the ones that are not seeing the money, right? City boy, everywhere, city boy. I'm looking for how many of them they gave money to. They're all collecting promissory money, audio money in future, hoping that they will notice your cap, that you're one of them. But that's personal brand. And let me tell you the truth. You cannot build a brand without consistency. So brand is not today, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll not do it today, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll not do it. If anybody has seen me speak at an event and not wear this shirt, please let me know. I mean, speak at a virtual event. I always wear this. I carry this like I carry it like I carry my product on my head. Does that make sense? Right? My car, I have this shirt. My office, I have this shirt like this. But it's how I build my own personal brand, right? But you have to have something that is unique, something that is identified, something that's consistent. If I ask you about Otedola, as everyone knows that Otedola wears only white. Has anyone noticed it? He wears only white. Show me a picture of Otedola wearing black or blue or gray. Has anybody also noticed that Peter Obi wears mostly black? Has anyone noticed it? That's personal brand building. So it comes from appearance, comes from identity, comes from concept, comes from message. That's personal brand. Now, corporate brand is different. Right, so the question you're asking about corporate brand, your product, whatever you're selling, even if it's not your own, find a way to brand it. Look, you're drop shipping and you're selling other people's products. Can you put it in your own package? Let people know that, oh, this is my own package. I always tell people something. You run a boutique, somebody comes to buy something, he's walking out of the boutique. I say, if I chase that guy and chase him to the bus stop and I ask him, what did you buy? I say, I bought 2 suits from this guy's boutique. If I ask him, what's the name of the boutique you came out from? Will he know? If that person will not know the boutique he came out from, then that's a problem. That means you sold product without selling name. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. Any other question? All right. My colleague just tell me that we have 2 slot taking, 1 gone. Some people are asking that what if the payment's not made today and can be made maybe later, right? Some of you need to go to the bank. Okay, so here's what I'll do. If you want to join the inner circle and you want the discounts, please drop your phone number. Right? Let's see. Let me talk to management and see if we can stretch it a bit, right? If you want to join the inner circle, right? Please drop your phone number now. We have only few slots. I could probably give consideration to the first 10 people. So just drop your phone number, right? Hopefully my colleagues will also reach out to you regardless, but drop your phone number. Let's prioritize those guys that are dropping their phone numbers. I want everybody to be handheld. Let me say this. Some things are learned, some things are taught, some things are caught. It's not everything you read in the books, everything you hear. Some people need to handhold you. We need to give you assignments, we need to follow through with you for the next 3 months. This thing called business is like riding a bicycle. You do not read a book on how to ride a bicycle and say, I can now ride a bicycle. If you climb a bicycle, you're going to fall. Or, oh, they should that ChatGPT, I can learn it on ChatGPT. Or yeah, show me somebody that learned how to swim using ChatGPT before. If you have learned how to swim using ChatGPT, please let me know. You probably have not learned how to. There are things that AI cannot teach you. One of them is business. I can tell you that. Some of us that were talking, we have scars from business, failed businesses. That's why we can tell you how not to fail. Does that make sense? All right. Any other question, just real quick? Okay. So I'm talking about hacks, things to do differently, right? Things to do differently. So I've said first, build a brand. Then Nigeria is going to be more brand centric. And let me say what's also driving brand centricity in Nigeria is social media. So social media has massively exploded in Africa, especially Nigeria. So people don't know what's going on. The algorithm of Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is very, very destructive to young people. So let me say this. If you follow the news, you find out that in Europe, they are now creating bans around social media below a particular age. They are forcing the social media companies to change their algorithm. So I'll tell you about the TikTok you use in Lagos, from TikTok they use in UK and US, because there's no regulation in Nigeria, they're dumping all sorts. Addiction, the biggest addiction right now is no longer drugs and alcohol. It is now social media. Now, that social media explosion is creating depression and it's creating comparison. The biggest winner of social media is brand centricity. So if you build your brand and put it on social media, forget it, you have blown. Right? Now, one of the key things I like to advise everybody here, right, to do is to start a series offline on their business. So, for example, the guy who is doing food business should start a series on Instagram and offline, or tips on so. So let me assume Madam Unyime, let me just Madam Unyime, I get it right. Let me assume Madam Unyime sells food. Madam Unyime should go on Instagram and say, oh, today I'm teaching you 10 tips on doing this, 20 tips on doing that. Oh, do you know this? Different things you can do with cassava, different things you can do with this, different things you can do this. Just build brand. The second thing is build a community around the brand. Build a community around the brand. You guys notice that Xavier now has Xavier Business Club, and in that business club, the community has a smaller community side, the bigger community called the inner circle. Build a community. Think of your business like a church. You know the beauty of a church? A church is a powerful community. Look, I was telling somebody, somebody told me that his wife will wake up on Saturday to say he's going to go and sweep church. And meanwhile, his own house is dirty. And her own house is dirty. I said, that's the power of community, that the church has brainwashed. Women are not sweeping their husband's house, are sweeping church. Women are not leaning down to greet their husband and leaning down to greet their pastor. That is the power of branding. Your pastor has branded so well, has taken my advice, and your pastor has also created a community for his church, right? I was saying that churches are so profitable because they have one of the lowest cost of sale. You know, in church, they don't have admin expense like that. 80% of people working in church are working as volunteer. If a church was to pay every usher that stands on Sunday, you know that they would have gone broke. Choir master is volunteering. Choir is volunteering. Usher is volunteering. Traffic warden is volunteering. Traffic officer is volunteering. Protocol is volunteering. All those people together, you see a church that has 10,000 members, 1,000 are church workers. If the church was to pay 100K for one or 1,000, tell me whether the church would not have gone broke. But there's something we can learn from those churches. What we can learn from those churches is that they've built a cult-like following around their community. build a cult like following. So let me ask you guys a random question, and at this point I'm going to start calling names. Oga Obina Echendu, you're into fashion, am I right? Please, can you unmute your mic and turn on your video? I want to ask you a question on fashion. Let me see whether or not we are in this class. See, if I call your name and you don't answer me, I will. They will remove you.
I am. My battery is quite low. I went to look for a
Oga
power
Benny,
bank.
what adjective qualifies people that buy your clothes?
Corporate professionals.
No. Don't understand what I mean by adjective. People that follow Whiskey are called Whiskey FC. Am I right? People that follow Beyonce are called Beehives. People that are Hexavian clients are called Hexavians. What do people that follow Adera called?
Also, I have rebranded, and what people who follow us now are called the royal community.
Okay, why do I feel like I just formed that one under the royal community? What is the adjective that qualifies them?
So my new brand is the Royal Sartorial Africa. And basically what we promote is the royal man as you know.
I get you. So if this was Inner Circle now, I'd have turned this an assignment. Matter of fact, this is an assignment for everybody. Inner Circle is starting officially next week. Let me say that. Please, next week, all of you joining Inner Circle, come with that answer to that question. Everybody must have something they call their people. So, for example, you say Royal Sartorians. You can say we are called the R Sartorians. So if somebody wears your clothes, he says, look, I'm an R Sartorian. Do you get my point? Like someone from Nigeria is called what? A Nigerian, right?
Right.
Someone from Holland is called what? Someone from Holland is called what?
A Dutch.
A Dutch, yes.
Yeah.
So you have to have an adjective. That's how you build cult-like following first. Somebody from Oedipus Church is called what?
A winner.
Now you get my point.
Okay.
Someone that attends the Lord's Chosen is a what?
Choosing.
Now you get it. Follow that pattern and build a brand around it.
Thank you.
So I've said build a brand, right? Personal and corporate, that's product branding. I've said build a community. I've said diversify your economy. If you're going to buy shares, buy from this brand that I've mentioned. Let me say this. Investments. The best investment you can do is your investment in yourself first. All of you that only shop in my class, only when it's free. Only when it's free. Let me be honest with you. Right? Whether you shop in my class, whether you don't shop in my class, you know me, I'm a natural free giver. I would throw the same passion like everybody paid for, but let me tell you the truth. You are not going to go far in this life if you do not want to invest in yourself. Right? I can tell where a man is going to, right? By what he spends the most money on. Look, I live in a building that, okay, anything I see more than that would be bragging. But I've been living, at least I've moved out to my father's house in the last 20 years at least. Do you know that in the last 20 years, I've never had a TV? I can show you guys my house. Upstairs, downstairs, anywhere. There's no TV anywhere. But I have invested in trainings and in books. Right? Before I bought my first car, I had my first master's. Put your money where growth. If you have a chicken that lays a golden egg, what are you supposed to do with that chicken that lays a golden egg? Is to feed the chicken well. Some of you are eating egg, eating chicken. You eat egg, eat chicken. Some of you are eating fruits, eating seed. You don't eat seed, you plant seed. Some of you, your staff has not done training for the last five months. Some of you 5 years, and you're wondering why your staff don't understand what you understand. How are they going to understand it? You are not going to build a 4x4 organization with a 2x2 mind. Scale. Carry your guys. Let them join in a second. I already told you that if you come, I'll give one free slot to your team members. And we're thinking that maybe we can open an inner circle for team members where you can get 5 of your guys to join at a discount. Because the strength of an organization is built on the strength of the staff. I was telling somebody, look at the correlation of the top 10 companies in this country. Just look at the correlation. You find out the top 10 businesses in the country are paying their staff well. And they're spending money on investment. Somebody was telling me that if you work in Dangote would have spent money on training on you that they spend on your salary. Some of you, training you don't go for. Your staff training you don't go for. And then every Sunday, you are going to pray for grace. Even if the grace decides to come, it will come in 2 things. Insights. But no insight will be found in book and in conversations like this. And it will be found in people. Connection, association. So I said there are three things you must build. Build a brand and a good product, which I've mentioned, community, blah, blah, blah. Second thing is you must build great distribution. Are you guys with me? You must build great distribution. 2026 is the year of distribution. And distribution is not another word for social media. Leave social media and distribute. I was telling somebody, I said, look, in one of our restaurants, I said, I'm going to put a banner there on the restaurant. I said, look, no Wi-Fi here. I'll put it in my restaurant. You know how they say free Wi-Fi? In my restaurant, there's no free Wi-Fi, no Wi-Fi. You know what I wrote there? I said, no Wi-Fi. Talk to yourselves. Don't come here on a date in my restaurant. And your husband, you see boyfriend and girlfriend come for a date and they're both pressing phone. Why are you pressing phone? So what did you leave your house to come and do? Learn to talk to strangers. The future is based on strangers. Learn to talk to strangers. Show me any great man or any wealthy man. If he tells you his story unadulterated, you see that he was most likely helped with a stranger than somebody that he knows. Your biggest breakthrough, the high chance that your biggest breakthrough will come from somebody you don't know right now. All those your uncle that say, send me your CV, let me see what I can do when you were in university. How many of them got you jobs? What did they do? They just say, let me show you what I'll do. Your biggest breakthrough will come from strangers. Learn to talk to strangers. Turn strangers into distributors. And you know what I'm driving at? Partnerships. My dream for the inner circle is that everybody does business with somebody there and build partnerships. All the great brands, what they built was partnerships. Look at Dangote, partner with MRS. So MRS is selling fuel smaller. Dangote's greatest asset was not just building refineries, that he gave a percentage of that refinery to the Nigerian government. So when he starts to do gra-gra, he's not just doing gra-gra. I don't know if you know that federal government owns equity in Dangote refinery. So that means nobody can bully Dangote. If you bully Dangote, you're bullying government. Do you see, guys? He didn't own 100% of the equity. Some of you want to own 100% of nonsense. Instead of you to own 10% of something that makes sense. Does that make sense? Did I just rhyme? Make sense? Does that make sense? Right? So please understand the power of distributorship and partnership in business. You want to be doing, I'm an introvert and I'm an introvert. There's no such thing as an introvert where you decide to run a business. I just know that Dangote is an introvert. That guy, I've seen that guy 3 times this year. Every party, they see Dangote there. Every big boy party, you go see Dangote there. But I saw Dangote in burial. The way he was standing close to the coffin itself, you think that he's one of the undertaker. The guy is always constantly networking. When they try to threaten Dangote, what did Dangote do? Start doing press release. Dangote is in video, he's doing Vimeo now. I saw one white guy interviewing Dangote. That guy that walks up to celebrity, I said, what do you do? Dangote now is doing, Dangote is on TikTok. Dangote is on TikTok. The only thing Dangote never do, is Instagram Live. And if you still do it, you have to learn to talk to strangers. Join association, join communities, join clubs. How can you be in Lagos? Polo club, you're not a part of. Boat club, you're not a part of. Ikoyi club, you're not a part of. Country club, you're not a part of. Even the church you attend, they don't know you for the church. Your estate, they don't know you. If there's an issue, you now be looking for connection. Let me tell you just about connection. Connection must be built before it's needed. Let me say that again. Connection must be built before it's needed. It's not when they arrest you, they're now looking for police to call your friend. Imagine police came to arrest you in your house. Say, hold on. Before you arrest me, the commissioner of police is coming to pick me to bring you to your station. Imagine if that policeman, that commissioner of police will bring you to your station. Just imagine that. Salah pass, you don't give anybody gifts. Even salamis, you don't give. Chicken, you don't give for Christmas. You don't build a relationship. Let me tell you, the universe, there's a cohort, there's a topic in the inner circle, the first topic, which is called Ikigai, finding your Ikigai. One thing you must do is that you must be a giver to be able to get associations, because the Bible says a man's gift maketh way for him. How that sort of makes sense? All right, guys, I think worth your time. There's probably going to be part 2 next week, but the part 2 would be for people who are part of the inner circle. Hope this has been worth your time. And I had so much fun, as much as you guys also did. Sorry I couldn't take all the questions. I'm sorry I have to go. I really hope that you got value. There'll be recording for this session, and there'll be slides for this session if you're part of the inner circle community. I'm looking forward to engaging you guys. Or if you want consulting, also please, you can reach out to my colleagues. Please, colleagues, drop my number right on the chat section. Okay, I think I just did that, right? And if you want to be a part of our one-on-one session, right, complimentary, Gigi, please, can you drop Gigi, or can you drop a link to the complimentary session? Now, let me say this. We are going to do a free 30 minutes audit for every CEO here. Free 30 minutes. We're not charging you, but you must have at least 5 staff. If you don't have 5 staff, please don't click on the link, right? Concentrate on building a business that has staff first. God did not send us for self-employed. God sent us for businesses, CEOs. Somebody else somewhere will deal with the people trying to start business. But if you run a business here, want to do a balanced scorecard audit for you, absolutely free, right? So check the chat section and you would see a link to a free one-on-one session. I'm going to Kenya this month, but if I go to Kenya and I'm traveling a lot, I'm in Abuja twice this month. If you're in Abuja, please let me know. But before then, I'll be in Lagos. I'll be willing to stop by at your office if the commission gets to that point. I'll be willing to do a free complimentary session on my team. My dream and my prayer and my lifelong goal is to make sure that at least in my lifetime, 10,000 businesses are scaled. And when I say scale, I'm talking about multiple branches, hundreds of staff. And so far, I've been able to do that. And I really want us to do that. And everybody must have such life goals. Wisdom is not to build a life just for yourself, right? The truth about life is, if you check the people that become very successful, you find out that the people that have killed self and think about others. In a world where everybody's trying to take, please be the one that is always trying to give, right? Don't think too much of yourself. I'm not saying don't think less of yourself, but think of yourself less. You guys get that? Don't think less of yourself, but think of yourself less, right? So be selfless. It's extremely very important. Think about others. Think about how you're going to add a value to others. So I hope I did add value to you, right? And thank you so much. And God bless you. Olumide, over to you.
I want to say something, Izu, before you go. You had asked part of the inner circle to share what the journey has been like. So just 30 seconds to say that it's really been very impactful. I'm working also with Xavier on the consulting level, and I see the effect it's having in my business, structuring us. One of the reasons I came to you was a way to, we're looking to institutionalize our business, to take it beyond just me as the key operator of the business and really sit in the CEO, managing director role and have systems that work. We currently have 3 locations in Nigeria. We have here in Lagos, we have in Jos Plateau State, and we have Nasarawa. And having to manage these teams requires structure, just like Mr. Izu has been teaching us, and it's been really very impactful. And I like the details. I really liked the session where you talked about the ability to reason and solve problems. And, sometimes we think we have a problem in one thing, and then when you look deeply and you ask all the whys, you really see what problems you have. And when you tackle it and everything solves itself, it's just been so impactful. And then the community that we have built, the collaborations among the team, it's really been, I'll recommend this for any business that is thinking to scale beyond themselves, really to scale and really be a company that is beyond just you. Then you should go for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the vote of confidence. And I believe that the reason why I can come here with my full chest to have a conversation and put myself as the guinea pig and give a lot of examples I give. If you notice the trend and my pattern is usually me. So when I say don't run a business where you have to be there, Madam Chinedu, I think the only 2 times I've seen you would be maybe just casual events. I really want everybody to be the business where they have a bit of time for other things. Business is not the only part of your business, of your life. There are 7 parts of your life. You guys remember talk about the wheel of life at the inner circle. Your life has 7 parts. Most people consider only one, which is the business and money parts, because of the poverty in Nigeria. I know Nigerians constantly are trying to run away from poverty. If you grew up in poverty, you want to run away from poverty, then run so far that you can never come back to it. That is what is fueling greed. Literally in politics, you steal and steal for your children. But there are other parts of your life you need to pay attention to. And the only way you can pay attention to them is to build structure in your business, like your family, like your health, like your spirituality. You guys know when I told you guys, don't be a successful, be successful. A lot of people are successfuls when they should be successful. When you're a slave and foolishness to your own success because you don't have family, you don't have health, you don't have spirituality, you don't have, because everything just was. So I want everybody to understand this concept. And to do that, there are only 7 things you must get right: strategy, structure, systems, shared value, skill. And that is the fundamental. Don't ask me the remaining 3 because that's why you need to engage us a bit more. But more importantly, I just want everybody here to really build a business that is scalable. Once you can do that, half of your job is done. You go to bed and sleep. If death comes and knocks, you are okay to go home because you know that you've lived fully and you've died empty. The ultimate goal of life is die empty with all the things you know God has put you there and you've created it. Let me leave with this last word. I was talking to a Jewish friend of mine. He's Israeli, right? And then the guy told me that he's not Christian, he's not Muslim, he's Jew, he does Judaism. You know, Israelis are mostly, I don't know what they call, what someone that practice Judaism called. I think they're called Jews also. And he told me something. He said, look, in Judaism, that they believe that on the last day, the real sin is that the person you have become, the person you are on the last day by judgment, that what they think is that on judgment, that the person you are will be introduced to you by the person you could have been. That's the real judgment. That the ultimate goal is to reduce the gap. Some of us, what God has created us to be and what we are becoming is absolutely different and an embarrassment to God. God said you're going to come to this world, you're going to be a billionaire in dollars, you're going to impact 100 lives, 100 million lives, but you come here and you're in one small kiosk because you don't understand scaling, right? And you're cursing people out, cursing yourself out, burning out like a candle, giving light while burning down, giving light while burning down, giving light while burning down. Even if you're if candle was such a good invention, then there would have been electricity. Don't live your life like a candle. Build structure, build system, build strategy, create good staffing, have the right skill. And there are 3 skills you must have: technical skill for your business, interpersonal skill for your business, and more importantly, leadership skill for your business. Some of you might have to go through this video more than once, and I'm looking forward to you doing that. And more importantly, some of you might also want to be able to handhold you guys. For some of you, it's just the session you need. For some of you, it's inner circle. For some of you, it's consulting. Madam Chinedu clearly said that. Madam Chinedu is one person who's done almost all of them, right? Madam Chinedu, have you been to breakfast session? You've been to a breakfast session, right?
Yes, I have.
At the Echo Hotel event. She's been to breakfast at Echo Hotel. She's part of the inner circle, and she's also doing consulting with us, right? And to be honest, my dream is at the end of the day, you yourself will turn around and own your own circle too. Because when you acquire all this knowledge, right, you have an obligation to teach other people and make money while teaching other people. Like I always tell anybody, no matter the business you decide to do, except you don't get to the highest of your career, the highest of your career is still consulting. Think about it. Because after you gather all the knowledge and you've built all your business, people will still say, come and teach us how you do it. I have a client that charges $18,000, Dr. Stephen Akintayo, teaching real estate people how to build real estate company because it's built in Dubai, built in US, built in Nigeria. And that's literally how this whole thing is. But that one client, that Dr. Stephen, I was still at, I said I was in refinery on was that Tuesday? Yes, on Tuesday. When I stopped by to see Dr. Tunde, one of our inner circle members' site, I still went to Dr. Stephen's office in Ibejulek, and I was blown away. I was telling her that last time I came here, this place was bush. Now they have properties there. And I'm like, look at the truth about it. He was telling them, she said, look, the first consultant I've had is Dr. Izu, and Izu is my consultant for the past 14 years. This guy has paid us every quarter for the past 14 years. I flew to Dubai, set up his Dubai office. My point here is extremely important to not do life alone. If the devil wants to deal with you, the devil gives you an illusion that everything you need, you have. Everything you need, you don't have. The way God created us, nobody is 100%. That's why we need associations, we need collaborations. You need to learn to ask for help, right? You can't clap with one hand, but see me clapping with 2 hands, louder. Don't clap with one hand. Don't do life alone. You are not going to live long enough to do trial and error to figure out life. Wisdom is to figure out life in the shortest possible time. Life expectancy in Nigeria is 5 years. Think about it. So how long will it take you to figure out life? You want to figure out life at 70, when you told life at 5 years old. If you found somebody that figured it out and ready to share those thoughts, then you are a winner. Right? So guys, sorry, Inner Circle guys, we couldn't give you guys an assignment. Inner Circle officially starts next week. We're going to do a part 2 where we're going to deep dive into some of the other things, how to build strategy, how to build structure, how to create the right staffing, how to create the right skill. Remember I said there are 3 skills: personal skill, interpersonal skill, technical skill, and leadership skill. Some of us don't understand what it takes to be a leader, right? Leadership is knowing the way, going the way, and showing the way. Some of you know the way, you've not figured out how to go the way. You just know it theoretically, but oh yeah, do it. You can't do it. So you read so many books with nothing to show for it. That means you know it but can't go it. Some of you know it, go it, and are holding it not to show it. So you must know it, you must go it, you must show it. If you've not shown it, then that's the problem. I was telling somebody that, look, why do you think the most powerful politician in this country as to speak is Bola Ahmed Tinubu? That's the most consistent person I know, and I'm not even an APC fan. But the reality about it is this guy has consistently been on the same path. First election, 1993, ran for Senate, built people, had a mentor. Even though the mentor never became president, the mentor died between President Kabiola, he eventually fulfilled that thing for the mentor. Wherever MK Abiola is, you will know that Tinubu is standing because he sat first, right? Do you have a mentor? Do you have a board? Do you have corporate governance? Do you have structure? Do you have systems? How long can you leave your business and come back and your business will still run? What is your moat? How have you created a system that protects customers if they don't want to leave? How well do you understand economics? How well do you understand finance and accounting? When we did that finance and accounting class, we realized how much a lot of people did not know jack about accounting and finance. Some of us are calling revenue profits. Some of us are calling gross profit, net profit. Some of us don't understand what retained earning is and what payout ratios are. Some of us don't understand what PE is. People don't know how VCs work. Some of you are trying to raise money. I don't understand. Somebody came to my face and said, wanted to raise money. I said, okay, how do you raise money? The guy was just talking. I said, look, are you sure you can pay somebody 30% interest rate on this money? I said, yes. I said, okay, so what collateral would you give? So I can give you the business. I can give you the company business. I said, show me the company CAC. Company is owned by his father. I said, you cannot put a collateral on your father's business, except your father has transferred ownership to you. You don't understand jack about business. Okay, what are you talking about? What is your growth on net profit? The guy was scratching his head. I said, okay, you know what you need? You don't need money. You need knowledge first. When you get knowledge, come back and I'll find you an investor. Some of us are chasing money where we should be chasing knowledge. A man will be in prison in a door that's unlocked, but opens inwards. If you keep pushing instead of pulling, you know, a door that opens inwards can be looking locked because you're pushing instead of you pulling. Some of you are pulling where you should be pushing, pushing where you should be pulling, and just one knowledge will change your whole trajectory, right? So I hope that I'm able to sell you what the future can be. You can be more, you can do more, you can have more. But it always starts with association and concepts. Thank you, guys, and God bless everybody here. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. It was a great session. And please, if you would love to join our inner circle program, please kindly join with the, you can pay the account number posted on the chat box. And also you can reach out to the contacts there to join. And also if you want to get our 30 minutes free invitation, you can join with the link. Join with the link that has been posted on the chat box also. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you. Yes, that will be next month or this ending of this month. Next chance. So thank you very much for joining us today. Do have a great day, everyone. Bye. All right, you can also give a shout out to any platform you heard us from or you saw the link from. So please kindly do that. You can just say, oh, you heard us from this particular group or channel or through a message, through a referral. So you can drop that for us to track where you are coming from. Thank you very much.
Yes.